delivering all-natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, a Tuesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. A lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. Tons of stuff. It is a packed show and a lot of things that we can get into and talk about. The NBA wrapping up last night. The Royals get ready for a set against the A's, putting the difficult 19-game stretch behind them. The 12 straight games against teams that are in first place in their division. And now they get ready for the Oakland A's. That'll be Sellers coming up a month from now, or maybe even before that. So we'll talk some Royals today. We'll talk some NBA Finals. We'll talk some NFL football. T. Higgins reporting. That came out yesterday. I know, Sterling, you were talking about that. And him showing up to training camp, or signing the franchise tender.
Yes.
And he will show up to training camp. So he is now officially a member of the Cincinnati Bengals, as you know, he wasn't until he signed that tender. Les Miles is suing LSU because of the vacated wins, that he now is no longer eligible to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, which has an absurd cutoff of having at least a 600 winning percentage to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. It's pretty dumb, but he's suing LSU because those 37 wins they vacated because of a player that received $180,000 from a booster, 37 games that he played in. They vacated those wins, and Les Miles falls below the 600 winning percentage threshold.
You know what hurt him
we'll
worse?
talk about that. Oh, yeah, coaching at Kansas.
Yes.
Coaching at Kansas, a 3-18 record hurt him worse than those 37 wins.
Yeah.
He should be suing himself. He should sue his agent
Yeah.
for taking the KU job. But we'll talk about that as well. And going on right now, the special session in the Kansas legislature that they are discussing and going over two main topics. One of them, the biggest topic, being a tax break. The reason they called the special session was to figure out the budget and upwards of $1.3 billion in cutting taxes in Kansas. But also, they are expected to discuss the star bond issue for the Kansas City Chiefs / Royals, and approving a star bond for one or multiple stadiums, upwards of $2 billion, minimum 30,000 seat stadium that would be covered with the star bond, that would not have to go to the votes, to the to a ballot, to the citizens to approve this, and would cover 70% of whatever project that they build and come up with. The star bonds would be 70% of that. So if it's $2 billion, it would cover 70%. $1.4 billion. Chiefs would be on the hook for. I did it yesterday.
Wow,
so yeah, I've double and triple checked it. I even put it in front of my son. He came up with the same numbers. Chiefs would be on the hook for $600 million. If you're looking at around $2 billion, a ROUND round $2 billion project. So I do want to get into that. Jackson County Legislature Manny Abarca has also put out that he is right now constructing what would be a proposal for a 3/16th sales tax, which would be a tax break from the the tax break is at the 3/8 cent just simply expiring. But when they say, we're not going to raise your taxes for the vote back on April 5th, whatever that was, April 3rd maybe, November 5th is the general election, but maybe April 2nd, 3rd, whatever that was, the April vote. We're not going to, quote, raise your taxes, even though this tax is set to expire. We're just going to continue it, which is fun with words, that you're really raising the taxes from what would have been zero back to the 3/8 cent tax. This is raising it from 0 to the 3/16th, but it is offering a tax break to a degree after said 3/16 or 3/8 cent tax would expire. So this would be coming up with a 3/16 sales tax or even a quarter sales tax, which either one would be lower than the 3/8 cent. specifically for the Chiefs and the Chiefs only.
I'll tell you what.
Not Chiefs and Royals, Chiefs only.
Tell you what, I'd rather have 3/16 of my sink go into the Chiefs than the majority of probably what it goes to right now. So I will take that.
And that'll be just for capital improvement sales tax. So it would be a renovating Arrowhead Stadium, not building anything new. It would be specifically capital improvement sales tax. So it would have to be a renovation of Arrowhead Stadium, which is what the Hunt family has talked about anyway. So I do want to get into that topic and that discussion here because it's massive. Because if it's voted on and approved in Kansas, they would have a year. June 30th, 2025 is when that would expire. Manny Abarca wants to get this Jackson County bill on the November 5th ballot. So the Chiefs, in theory, as of November 6th, could have a couple of different options to choose between heading into June 30th of 2025 before they'd need to make a decision as to which side they could go with, Kansas or Missouri. But Missouri has a lot of work ahead of them. Kansas has work today to get it voted. And Governor Kelly has already said she's not going to veto it. As the bill stands right now, she would not veto said bill. Now, if it gets manipulated or things get moved around, it already dropped from 75%, the star bonds covering the total project. They dropped it down to 70%, making it more palatable for those that were opposing. So meaning the Chiefs would have to put in more money now as opposed to 75%. It's now only covering 70%, et cetera. So they've already sort of negotiated it down a little bit. And even with that 75 to 70% drop, Governor Kelly has said she is not going, there's nothing in it right now that would warrant a veto. So it would be approved if they vote on it today. They're expected to get to it, but that depends on how long it takes to get through the biggest issue, which is the overall state's budget and the tax break that they are debating of upwards of $1.2, $1.3 billion right now. So that's going on today with the special session with the star bonds, and Jackson County / the Missouri side is at least some, or at least trying to put forth some sort of an attempt to keep the Chiefs, to challenge what would be a pretty good deal. It's not a blank check. I know I saw one person, it was like a professor in Colorado, that said this is a blank check to the Chiefs. No, it's only covering 70% of the project. It's not a blank check. They still would have to put in twice as much as they were planning on putting in to renovate Arrowhead in the April ballot. $300 million up to, upwards of $600 million.
But for a new stadium, right?
But for a brand new stadium.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. But it wouldn't be a blank check. They would still have to put in some of their own money to do that. So I do want to get into that because there are a couple of things with that. I do think Jackson County has an advantage here. And we'll talk about some of those advantages that are there. It has nothing to do with the city. And Manny Abarca saying the city can worry about the Royals. This is Jackson County. It's not in Kansas City. It's just a Jackson County thing. It's not a Kansas City thing. It's just Jackson County. Kansas City wants to get involved. Great. They may be worrying about the Royals specifically as the city that can figure some of those things out. So that's what's going on in the last 24, 48 hours or so. Let's talk about the NBA Finals. Last night, the Celtics win championship title number 18. They seem to be the best team all year long. Offensive and defensive efficiencies, they were in the top 2 or 3 most of the year. They get to the NBA Finals. You were dumb thinking the Mavericks would win. Mick clearly much smarter than you, Sterling.
Oh, yeah.
In saying,
he is.
That was just his fandom. He has become a Celtics fan because Marcus Smart from Oklahoma State was drafted to the Celtics. Mick's son became a Celtics fan because of Marcus Smart, but they have then stayed as Celtics fan, and by proxy, by just, osmosis of being around his son, he has now become a Celtics fan. So big night in the Schaefer household last night. Big night for beards. Everybody that has a beard, but also,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Beards.
Beards
Yeah,
McFly.
I need to text him. And say,
Huge Celtics fan. So big night for those fans. There was 0 ounce of drama in this. And that's what's disappointing with the whole, it felt like the entire postseason for the NBA was just
Should have been Denver.
a slow drip. Yeah, Denver would have been great
That would have been
because
a great series.
without Kristaps on the floor against Denver, Denver's better. with Kristaps on the floor, Boston can beat Denver. It's a much bigger impact, Kristaps playing or not, against Denver than it was against Dallas. But Denver didn't take care of business. Dallas did, and that's you get the team that's in front of you, and they took care of business, and they won. But it just felt like a slow drip since what, April 14th, when the season ended.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, it just,
2 months of playoffs.
Two months ago is when the season ended. It just felt like it was just slowly building to what didn't end up being some sort of a crescendo, except for Timberwolves and Nuggets. And that's really all it kind of felt like.
And it felt like the Mavericks were, in my opinion, the Mavericks would be a fun matchup against Boston because of the fourth quarters. I thought between Luka and Kyrie, yes. I thought back and forth with those two guys. No game is safe. Every game has the chance. It's like almost like the Royals to an extent, where a team comes in, they're up 2, their closer comes in. Next thing you know, they're sweating. That's what I thought. Boston could be up 10, heading into the fourth. They're sweating.
Yeah.
Never happened that way. And part of that's also Dallas getting behind so much. It felt like almost every single game, even this one, over by, honestly, the first quarter, but in halftime, it was, 67-46?
Yeah.
21-point game. I know the NBA 21-point games can evaporate like that. It just didn't feel like the Celtics were giving that one up, and the Mavs just didn't have anything left in the tank.
I mean, even the win by the Mavericks was a dud.
Yes.
It was just no drama whatsoever. And it's difficult. I don't know how much drama you can create with a 7-game series. I mean, you have those from time to time. Like, you can have a closer game. Like, the Nuggets and Lakers, each game was really entertaining. But once the Nuggets went up 3-0, it didn't matter. Right, even Game 4 being entertaining, and Jamal Murray hitting game winner after game winner, and Jokic hitting game winner, and it's like, wow, the Lakers were so close, and they just couldn't get it done late in the game. Yeah, but it was also game after game after game after game it happened, and when they didn't win one of the first 2 or 3, it didn't matter at that point. And once the Celtics won Game 3, no matter what it was, there was really not going to be any of the drama that goes along with it. The drama has to be created as it builds up back and forth, and that's the difficulty of having the series that takes place in these 7-game series, things like that. Baseball's the same way. It's got to be. I don't know that many people would have looked at the 2015. Around here, we loved it. But in 2015, there was some drama late in those games. Every game felt like it was close in a play here or there. It ended up being Game 5. It ended up being a 5-game series. There was more drama in that World Series just from an outsider. Obviously, we're insiders watching it and rooting interest. But I would say from an outsider than there was in this, because those games came down to 9th inning home run, extra innings, dark night, mad dash, Hosmer, the 7, 8, 9 HDH, and knowing it was sort of a 6th inning game and there was more of a sense of urgency by the other team to score and get a lead by the 6th inning. There was more drama there, but it was still only a 5-game series. Once the Royals went up, 3-1, it was like, all right, well, this series is essentially over unless the Mets can pull off some sort of a miracle, but it's the Mets.
And then 14 was historical because it did go 7 games. It went to the wire.
Yeah.
The Cubs-Cleveland series, that was electric. I mean, I get what you're saying. I've always been a fan of 7-game series. Maybe it's because I'm an old man and I like history, and I think 7-game series a lot of times can
be amazing.
But then you get ones that end up like last night.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here going, I can't believe I waited 2 months to watch a beatdown. One that we all should have expected. I didn't because I'm a dumbass, but one that we all should have expected, and of course it happened.
It was like Cavs Spurs 07. Felt like you have one really good player in LeBron on one team, and then a dynastic team. I mean, obviously Boston's not dynastic yet, but they have a runway here to win multiple championships with this core. It kind of feels like Spurs Cavs 07.
Yeah, and it's very rare that we get like the 2015 3-run comeback and then game 5, 6, 7, and then that Game 7 was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
back and forth and fourth quarters, and as Sterling would say. The Cavs carried by Kyrie in that game. It was Kyrie, and then I don't remember who else was on that team in 2015, but it was definitely Kyrie was the player in that series. He was brilliant.
Kevin Love, was he injured or was he?
No, Kevin Love played in that one year before. Kevin Love had the dislocated shoulder year before, but he played. So yes, it was Kyrie and Kevin Love that were on the floor for that 2015.
Oh, the one the Spurs one when Tim Duncan.
No, 2015 when they came back 3-1. The Cavs.
Oh, against the Warriors.
Yeah, it was just Kyrie and Kevin Love.
When was the one with Tim Duncan? He won late in his career, and he was 38 years old.
That was 14.
14.
Kawhi as the MVP.
Yeah, 14. That's what it was. Okay.
Yep. Here's what I want to talk about too, and we'll take a break and we'll get into this on the other side of the break. Jaylen Brown's last 2 years has been an unbelievable ride from can't hack it, big stage bust in the finals, good player not great, overpaid, the highest paid player in the NBA as of last summer with the max contract. He can't drive to his left.
I was about to say, he can't go left.
Can't go left. He would never make it in NASCAR. He can't go left. To NBA Finals MVP. I want to talk about that road for Jaylen Brown. And I also wonder, are there current players that are on the post-NBA Finals against the Warriors 2 years ago, Jaylen Brown, that could make that career trajectory getting over the hump to be this guy's a superstar. This guy's a phenomenal player. One of the best two-way players in the NBA is Jaylen Brown. Look what he did against Luka. Luka had a lot of points, but he shot like 30% from the floor in the series. And it's one of the reasons why Brown got MVP. Tatum put up better numbers overall from the series, offensively, assists, rebounds. But Brown was doing what he was doing offensively while predominantly guarding Luka. Incredibly difficult. We'll take a timeout. I want to talk about players that may be in that realm of Jaylen Brown, somebody that did something I did not think he would ever do. I did not think the Celtics would win with Tatum and Brown. I certainly didn't think Jaylen Brown would win an NBA Finals MVP. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next. I want to know if anybody else out there has any comparisons to Jaylen Brown and what he's done the last couple of years. Because, again, 2 years ago in the NBA Finals, he and Jason Tatum, especially those last couple of games after having a 2-1 lead, they couldn't hit a shot. They didn't step up. They didn't play well. And Jaylen Brown couldn't go to his left. Wasn't worth the money. That duo will never win together. And I'm not criticizing those that said that because I said it as well. Well, I guess we can criticize those that said that. They're wrong. I was wrong. I didn't think they would ever win together. I thought they would have to break it up. But ultimately what Brad Stevens decided was, hey, what if, and I'm just spitballing here, what if we put better players around the duo? Yeah. Instead of just saying those two go and do it all by yourself. What if we go and get Drew Holiday? What if we trade for Derek White? What if we trade for Al Horford? What if we bring those guys in?
And
what if we get
Porzingis.
Kristaps?
Well, and let's be real. The biggest one, KU fans, let's be real now, Svi Mikhailuk is a now NBA champion.
That's
Svi Mikhailuk.
Svi Mikhailuk, yeah.
So,
yeah. So is Phil
I got
Pressey,
Mikhailuk and I missed
Okay,
Svi.
yeah.
Isn't
Wow,
Phil,
nails.
So is Flip. Phil Pressey is too. He's part of that staff.
There we go.
So there you go.
There's a
Am
cool
I a Z?
picture of him and Al Horford's dad dapping up on the stage. It was awesome.
That's an odd height comparison with
so
them.
they were eye level because he was on the stage. And Al Horford's dad was. Yep.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
That's pretty badass. Not going to lie. That's really cool. But yeah, so Phil Pressey also got himself a ring as well last night. 913-912-4810. Players that would have the potential, because they'd have to be where Jaylen Brown is currently. They'd have to currently be where Jaylen Brown was coming off the Golden State Warriors Game 6 loss, leading 2-1, and then losing games 4, 5, and 6, and not playing well in that.
And turnover central. I mean, it was brutal.
And overplaying his right hand. Just overplaying his right hand to then say, I dare you to go left. You're not going to. Like, you can't drive to your left and create and get inside. It's not working. So I was thinking about this last night and looking at different sports. Football to me is the easier one to start with because I think there's one obvious player in football in the NFL. I think there is one obvious guy that sticks out. I also think there's another guy that is in the mix that can be discussed around that. Baseball is a little more difficult. In the NBA, I'm not sure.
I got a few for each sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start in the NFL because I think there's an obvious one in the NFL.
Do we say count down to 3, 2, 1 instead of the same time?
3, 2, 1.
Lamar.
I was going to say Josh Allen, so I would have been wrong, but they already blew up his team.
Josh Allen's number 2, actually.
Josh Allen was number 2 on mine. I've got 3.
I have 3 too.
They blew up
You have
his
3
team,
or 2?
though.
I have 3 as well.
Okay,
And my
also.
order is Lamar, Allen, and then
Trevor Lawrence.
that's actually a better one than mine.
Oh, what's yours?
I actually have Joe Burrow.
See, Joe Burrow, well,
You got to win one.
but here's the thing, though. And the reason I thought about Joe Burrow. The reason I didn't put Joe Burrow on it is because after the Super Bowl and since then, he's viewed as a guy that's definitely going to win one. Burrow, their window is open as long as Burrow is there.
I think it's closed now.
I don't disagree from a larger picture, but I think the narrative around Joe Burrow is not anything like Jaylen Brown was, in that you're never going to around Lamar. He can't win one because he chokes in the playoffs. Josh Allen, he's not going to be able to win one. Okay, me and throwing in Trevor Lawrence,
it's a good one.
He's not going to win one. He's not good enough. And now he's paid as the highest paid player in the NFL, like Jaylen Brown, but he's not going to get it done. He's not good enough to carry that team the way that, a Stephen Clay, a Jamal Murray and Jokic, LeBron and Kevin Love with a mixture of Kyrie and LeBron and AD. You know what I mean? Like, I think Trevor Lawrence is in that group. Josh Allen, I went back and forth with Josh Allen, and only because Josh Allen has gotten farther into the playoffs.
And I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And he's never made the Super Bowl yet.
Yeah.
And he's also well paid. But that's the only reason I almost put Trevor Lawrence second. I was going back and forth with Trevor Lawrence second just because he hasn't performed all that well up to the billing of number one pick in the draft, one of the premier prospects, quarterbacks we've ever seen, talent-wise, coming into the NFL. He's been okay. He's been fine. You know?
I retract Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Retract it. It's retracted.
Redacted. Retract it.
Cross it off.
Yes,
please.
Mark it from the record.
I dumped it.
It's not going to be on the podcast anymore.
The stenographer, can you please?
Yes.
No. I'm going to put Trevor Lawrence because you know my thoughts on him, the most overrated quarterback in football.
Mm-hmm.
I think Justin Herbert's not quite there yet. I think Herbert is knocking on the door of this case. The name I think we're all forgetting is Dak Prescott.
It's interesting.
Dak Prescott
That's an interesting
is I think we all sat with the AFC, and we kept thinking AFC. At least I did.
It's an interesting one. Yeah, Dak is really good.
Dak, to me, is the one. He was highly paid. Like Daniel Jones, no, because no one thinks Daniel Jones.
No.
That's not even close.
No.
Everyone knew that was a bad deal from the get-go.
Yeah, and he's not going to make he's not going to make a championship. He's not going to make a Super Bowl.
No one believes that.
Whereas Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum made it to the NBA Finals and held a 2-1 lead, and then it was their fault that they lost.
Yes.
And they're never going to get back there. And then Eastern Conference Finals, can't get it done yet again. They're never going to win the big one. They had their chances. Now you're paying max money to Jaylen Brown. You were doing that and coming up short when you weren't paying him as the highest paid player in the NBA.
So Dak Prescott, I think is a really good one. And with Dak and Lamar in particular, and the reason why I thought Lamar was the clear-cut number one, obviously the regular season success, but the lack of postseason success, but also similar to Jaylen Brown, it was you can't go left, well, you can't throw. And then it was a case of, okay, a lot of people wanted to blow this thing up. They said, Jaylen Brown, let's ship him off. There were obviously talks about shipping Lamar Jackson off and finding a new quarterback and rebuilding.
Last year,
yes,
people were talking about, hey, he's available.
Now, it would have been dumb.
He was available, but not really available.
Would it have been done for Atlanta to give him 2 firsts?
No.
Not for Atlanta. I'm saying
dumb
for Baltimore.
Totally agree.
Yeah, but it was like he's available, but not really available because teams didn't want to pay all that money to Lamar and give up the 2 first-rounders.
And not even really solidify an offer because then the Ravens can come in.
They can match and whatever it is. So he was available, but not really available. So the Ravens played it to save a little bit of money, or at least attempt to save some money and say, Lamar, go check out what your market value is out there. Go. It's not a true free agent market value because teams would have to give up 2 first-rounders. It's not the same as when Kirk Cousins was a free agent from Washington and the Vikings said, we'll give you a fully guaranteed deal because you're an actual free agent. And free agent quarterbacks that have had success don't hit the open market. And when they do, teams are desperate. The Browns were desperate. That's why they gave Deshaun Watson that stupid-ass contract. We've only seen it a couple of times. Every other quarterback that's under contract that it gets an extension is not getting fully guaranteed deals. If anybody could have got a fully guaranteed deal, it would have been either Andrew Luck at the time he signed his contract or Patrick Mahomes. Those are the only 2 guys at that time.
If you don't talk about desperation, just look at the Giants and Daniel Jones and the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, because that's desperation of, in the NFL, you have to have the quarterback. You have to have a guy. And you will pay any amount of money to at least try and stay relevant, because if you don't, you're going 5-12.
Texas, are you guys talking about overrated, overhyped, or overpaid? Very different distinctions. I'm just trying to find a scenario that's close to Jaylen Brown. Because 2 years ago, Jaylen Brown was an issue. You've got to trade him. You've got to break up the duo. Then he became the highest paid player in the NBA, and that was a mistake. Why are you? But by a lot of different opinions. Like,
sure.
Okay, well, now you're paying him. You couldn't get it done when you weren't paying him. So then he became overpaid. But and I don't think he was overrated or overhyped. I think people just doubted that he could ever do that.
Agreed.
I think he was underrated to. Now we look back, he was underrated to a degree. But he got it done, and he's the NBA Finals MVP, proving that Brad Stevens was correct to stay with the duo, build around him, and give Jaylen Brown the contract, that he was that good and needed opportunities, another one, and he came through with his next. Didn't come through the first time on the big stage. That happens.
Yeah.
Didn't come through, didn't play well.
Kobe didn't come through on the stage in the playoffs the first time around. The famous air balls, remember?
Yeah,
Like that.
Absolutely. He needed Shaq to carry him. So go ahead, Dylan.
I got my third. And it's another Jalen that we may be forgetting. I think Jalen Hurts is a very good example. He made the championship, got paid, and he has the wide receivers and the surrounding cast.
And he had a rough season last year. He not really. I mean, there was some injuries that went along with it.
And they got Big Dom off the sideline, which is we know
helps.
That's huge.
Yeah, that helps. But yeah, this is a big year for Jalen Hurts because of the down year in terms of the numbers from what they were 2 years ago after signing the contract. So I think there's a mixture of sort of the overrated, overhyped, overpaid. Not necessarily one or the other, and it's a specific sort of category. It's just sort of all-encompassing from Jaylen Brown, which is a real, it was a unique situation to see that where he is right now, ascending to superstar status from, you can't get it done with that guy. It's never going to happen. He's an issue. He can't even go to his left. What a clown.
I think baseball's the hardest. Because baseball's a team sport.
I'm with you.
The only names you could come up with were Playoff Kershaw. Because Playoff Kershaw.
Great one.
Playoff Kershaw.
Playoff.
But the Dodgers got a World Series.
Mickey Mouse. Playoff. Great for L.A. L.A. They must love Disney World. That's why I had to build one there because, it's Mickey Mouse land. Brad Lidge in the playoffs.
Oh wow, that's an interesting one. Even that's a blast from the past right there.
Yeah,
man.
Brad Lidge. Well, the blast is still flying. From
it is.
Pujols,
it is. Yeah, Pujols. It still hasn't landed yet.
Still going. I think the obvious one that people want to say is Mike Trout. That's not fair because it's a team sport, and like he's been great. There's been no denying that he's been injured now. So Bryce Harper was actually the name that Jason and I talked about
until last year.
Bryce Harper, we think was that.
Yeah,
I think Bryce Harper was
that. Would have been if you'd have said this time last year. If the Phillies didn't have that run and didn't have that, if it didn't happen, then I would have said Bryce Harper.
Yeah,
Bryce Harper's my choice.
Well, he's still got to get over the hump. He's still got to get a ring.
Yeah, right. I agree, but it's like.
But he has made it to.
I just think that
stage. I get it.
I don't think he's the issue though.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like people are like, okay, he's overpaid. He can't really sort of get it done.
That's a great point.
And I think it's one of those to where he's proven that he is. Ascended and exceeded expectations for what were placed on him as a high schooler on the front of cover of Sports Illustrated.
And if we're being honest, doesn't Mike Trout kind of help out his argument a little bit as well with how little he's performed in the postseason?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I have a decent amount of NBA, which we can get to in a second. Anyone else have any other baseball ones?
No, those baseball's difficult.
Yeah,
those are good.
It's really difficult to come up with that. Kershaw in the postseason, Mickey Mouse or not, they do get it. He does have a ring. Now.
I love Kershaw, by the way. And honestly, his playoff numbers overall are not as bad as people think.
They're not as bad. But it's inflated in terms of narrative.
Yeah. And then golf, Rory McIlroy in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Past 10 years of Rory has been atrocious. It's like, will you ever get one? Justin Thomas. Like Justin Thomas was like next man up.
I like
Justin
that one a
Thomas.
lot. I like the Justin
Thomas
one.
Disappeared almost.
Yeah,
totally, man. He was part of that new group of players.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call themselves?
Spieth kind of too. Jordan Spieth is someone in that category.
Very corny, I remember, but.
It wasn't the Golf Boys or something like that.
I almost said that.
It wasn't that.
But it's
something of that ilk.
Yeah.
It's like that whole group, honestly. You can almost throw Spieth into the category, too.
Yeah.
He's somewhat fallen out. Brooks Koepka, I don't know if you want to throw him, and I don't think that's fair. It's
John
only been
Rahm
a
little bit recently.
Yeah, but that's too recent for me.
Yeah,
Like, I think it needs to be like almost like a good
Justin Thomas
stretch.
is a really good one because he doesn't have one. Where Rory at least has a couple.
Yeah.
And
Justin Thomas doesn't have a major?
No.
Wow.
He doesn't, right?
I thought maybe PGA because that's always like a.
Man, for whatever reason, I just thought Justin Thomas did not. I could be completely wrong.
I just thought he got some
Justin Thomas.
one early.
He has 2 PGA championships.
All right, like I said, he's got 2. Good God, how did I not remember Justin?
The last one
minus 20 probably.
I mean,
the last one he had won in 17, which I remember. I didn't remember 22. He won in 22, so it's been 3 years.
It's been that recent.
He's such a reserve. He's almost more reserved, I guess, than Scotty then.
Oh man, that's embarrassing.
I don't even remember that.
I lived for 5 years, like 10 minutes from where he grew up.
And 2017 wasn't it? 2017 wasn't it in Louisville too?
Our house in Louisville was like 5 minutes from where Justin Thomas grew up. So it's like I probably should know that he won a couple. Especially when did he win his first one? What was the year's first?
17.
Yeah, I was living there when he won his first championship, won his first major. Good God. Tex says Ricky Fowler. from the golf side of it. I like
Ricky's
that one.
pretty good.
I like that
Ricky got real close recently, and they kind of.
But he's kind of fallen off though. Like he got close a couple times, but he doesn't feel like he's getting close
again.
Ricky Fowler's like
Tiger's too old to say that.
You
can't say
Tiger
that.
already.
Tiger winning the Masters.
Tiger's already. Tiger.
It's just so.
Tiger already. I mean, he came out right at the gates and changed the sport. So that's not Jaylen Brown. That's not what we're talking about with Jaylen Brown being a guy who was the problem.
Rocco Mediate. Rocco Mediate. That's the
you're gonna trade. You're gonna break up the duo. You're not trading Tatum.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're breaking up the duo, we all know who they were talking about.
Okay. So I have a couple for NBA. If we want to do NBA.
Yeah.
Okay. James Harden's the obvious one. I think James Harden's the most obvious of. It seems like every team points to him as an issue, right? Sixers have done it. Houston's kind of done it. The Nets have done it. The Clippers. Name a team.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty much James Harden. For a little bit, Paul Gasol was kind of this with the Lakers, right? He's too soft.
Yeah.
That European can't play in today's NBA.
That's right.
Like I think Paul Gasol for a little bit had that narrative that Jaylen Brown did, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then you look back and no, Anthony Davis is to me the current player that's the.
But he already got over the hump though.
Again,
he already won a championship.
Yeah,
Whether it's you could say Mickey Mouse, LeBron was NBA Finals MVP.
I'm not saying Mickey.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm joking.
I just think like he's already won one. I think before the championship in the summer of before that one, I would have said Anthony Davis.
If the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, none of us are calling that Super Bowl Mickey Mouse. That's kind of my look.
I'm being facetious. Everyone had the same chance. Everyone had the same chance of winning it.
It's totally. You can't see the look on Sterling's face when he says Mickey Mouse every time.
Yeah.
Because his back is to you, but I can see it. So yeah, it's total tongue in cheek every time he says Mickey Mouse.
But like Anthony Davis, though, I still think to an extent, yeah, he won one, but he's always injured, and it just Anthony Davis to me is almost like he's very, very highly paid, right? And it seems like the production when he's played is great, but hasn't quite lived up to the hype of Anthony Davis. I don't think they're ever going to get close to Anthony Davis ever again as a main cog on a team. I just don't. I think Karl Anthony Towns and Pascal Siakam might be close to the next two in line.
Interesting.
I think Pascal Siakam and Karl Anthony Towns, because I don't think, obviously, Anthony Edwards is not the issue. If they were ever going to break up the Timberwolves, you're keeping Anthony Edwards. Karl Anthony Towns would be the guy that you would siphon off. I don't think they do that, but that's just one name. And then at one point, Kemba Walker. I thought Kemba Walker could have been that guy. And Victor Oladipo. Before the injuries, Victor Oladipo was that guy. Victor Oladipo was a stud, and then the injuries piled up. And
that's interesting. I would have never put Oladipo on that level of what Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
My question was Pascal.
But
I would have for a couple of years. Yeah.
On Pascal, why? Where is he?
See, I think he's ascending though. I think Pascal's
I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
But with him in Toronto, he wasn't like the guy. That was obviously Kawhi Leonard. Like that was Kawhi. Because what happened after? If Toronto loved Pascal Siakam that much, they weren't going to trade him. They weren't going to get rid of him. They would have done everything possible to keep him, right?
Yeah, but he's on the team now where Halliburton's a guy.
Mm-hmm. But he's grown into like, okay, this guy is a reliable player. But he's also not the problem, though. You know what I mean?
He's not the problem.
Like Jaylen Brown was viewed as the issue. This is a guy you aren't going to win with.
Was that with Toronto? My point was with Pascal Siakam was that the viewpoint in Toronto of we're not going to end up winning a championship with this guy. And by the way, he's 30. For all the talk of his, I thought he was going to be like 26.
Yeah, he's just become so reliable and good the last couple of years. The one name out of all the sports, when I was thinking about it last night, was the one that Lamar.
Yeah,
Lamar is the most obvious one. Can't get it done. Fails in the playoffs. You can't build a team around a quarterback that plays like that. The best opportunity maybe he'll ever have against the worst Patrick Mahomes offense playing at home, and you score 10 points. And the one touchdown drive was benefited by clearly the officials wanting the Ravens to win. There was an obvious hold on Lamar Jackson's long run that wasn't called, and I'm sick and tired of the officials always screwing over the Chiefs. That's the national narrative, right? But they scored 10 points against the Chiefs. Chiefs defense was amazing. I mean, it was awesome last year. One of my favorite parts about the Super Bowl ring is, those little details that they have. My favorite thing was the 19 diamonds in one of the parts. The 19 diamonds to signify the 19 games the Chiefs defense did not give up points more than, was it 28?
27.
27. 19 games they played.
They
where
only
they
had
didn't.
19 diamonds. 28 was 18 games, so they had to,
It wasn't for Kadarius Toney.
No,
I had the 19 diamonds for the amount of his number and also his drops.
I was going to say there were 15 diamonds in one part of it on Tony's ring specifically. They were actually fake.
They dropped 4. He got a fake one.
He got fake diamonds. Yeah, he actually did not. He got some. His ring is filled with CZs. It's last year full diamonds. This year CZ. Sorry, there are no carrots. We actually give you a bag of carrots with your CZ ring. Good luck though. It's been a blast there, Kadarius. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We will talk with Adam Himmelsbach coming up at 11 o'clock from the Boston Globe, covering this Boston Celtics team. What it means moving forward, the NBA championship for them, conversation around Jaylen Brown, Brad Stevens, what his impact has been on the NBA since going from college. We'll do that coming up at 11 o'clock. Les Norman will be our guest coming up at noon. Todd Lebo, more Zone right after this. Adam Himmelsbach from the Boston Globe get his thoughts on the championship last night and Jaylen Brown, his ascension. Brad Stevens, maybe the best ever, not even maybe, I mean, the transition from college to the NBA. I mean, is there anybody that can even come close to lay claim to that? Like Billy Donovan at one point was like, oh, it's really good, But to go from college to the NBA as a coach and then as an executive and build a championship team, coaching a really good team to building a championship team, and his moves being those shrewd moves that helped build around that duo, hiring Joe Mazzulla, a guy who was 15 years old when they hired him, I think. He's like 17, right? Can he vote? I don't think so. He can't drink for sure.
time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Les Norman coming up at noon, some Royals baseball, breaking the norm with Les. Todd Lebo joins us in the 1 o'clock hour, some fact or fiction before we are done. We'll get into some college football things going on around Les Miles and K-State with transfer and Coleman Hawkins. We will talk some Major League Baseball. We've talked a little bit about the Star Bonds that's going on today with the special legislation with the special session in Kansas, voting on that for whether or not they will approve the Star Bonds to move the Chiefs over to the Kansas side. We've also talked a lot about the NBA, the finals last night. Let's continue that discussion. Adam Himmelsbach from the Boston Globe joins us here in the zone covering the Boston Celtics. Adam, what's up, brother? How are you, sir?
Jason, good to hear from you. How's it going?
It is going just fine, man. Going just fine. What time did you get to sleep last night?
Early this morning. Yeah, I finished my last story at 5:30 in the morning, Eastern time, and then zonked out until pretty close to when I answered this phone call.
So sorry about interrupting your sleep, man. It's my apology.
No,
you're a great man. You're a one hell of a model American to be able to come on and do this for us. I appreciate that, brother. And then get some sleep when we're done, okay? Or just fall asleep during the show. Some people do that. You know, it's happened before. I don't know. Adam Himmelsbach is our guest. So let's talk about last night in this series, just as a general sort of bigger picture view of this team and certainly the duo of Tatum and Brown carrying the weight in a city of championship or bust. How did, this group of players, those two maybe specifically, not collapse under the pressure of that one sort of tunnel vision? It's a pass-fail season, pass-fail career in Boston. Win a championship or not is good, bad, legacy, difference in how they're viewed. How does one stay focused and be able to block that out all season long to hold the trophy last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it was all their failures. Like, let's be honest, there was a lot of this team had over the past really decade a ton of success, but just a ton of heartbreaking endings. Really, all the conference finals losses. You had the finals loss to the Warriors when you get to the biggest stage against this dynasty. You're up 2-1, feeling great, and then they just show you, oh yeah, we're the dynasty Warriors. Last season, the 8th seeded Heat, you're down 3-0. Start a miraculous comeback, force a Game 7 at home. Jason Tatum sprains his ankle, and that season ends. There's just been a lot of them. The Game 7 loss in the conference finals to LeBron and the Cavs. I think every single one of those kind of hardened this group a little more. This core of Jason, Jalen, you can throw Al Horford in there for the most part, and started to teach them what it takes to take that final step. And throughout the season, you could feel it. It was different. Obviously, the addition of Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday made a huge difference, but there was also a different Jason Tatum and a different Jaylen Brown. And they realized, really, for the first time, what it was going to take over the course of a long year.
From 2 years ago to now, we were talking in the previous hour, Adam, about, the career arc of Jaylen Brown. From a couple of years ago in the 3-1 lead or 2-1 lead and not winning the series, and the criticisms that were there about Jaylen Brown. You got to break up the duo, which essentially is you got to trade Jaylen Brown. You can't give him the max contract. He can't go left. I mean, what's the point of even, having a guy that can't go left in Jaylen Brown? To being NBA Finals MVP, and we were trying to think of some comparisons out there, and the main one that I was thinking of is, Lamar Jackson right now is, he's the problem. If he were to win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, he could take that sort of Jaylen Brown trajectory. What does this do now for him? Is he fully into superstar status, that, contract worth it? I mean, they won a championship, certainly. But from Jaylen Brown a couple of years ago, coming off that NBA Finals to now, how improbable do you think this is to where he is and holding that Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP trophy, by the way, in his left hand? I don't know that he did that on purpose, but, that would be pretty interesting if he did.
I appreciate it. I don't know if you gave your listeners a heads up, but we know each other from Louisville, so
yes.
I appreciate the Lamar Jackson reference, something current that I can relate to. That was good stuff.
Yeah,
That's why
absolutely.
You're the best. But
the check's in the mail, bud.
Yeah, he's been excellent. Like, really, again, of course, this season when Marcus Smart left, Marcus Smart was really the heartbeat of this team. He wasn't their best player, but he was the heartbeat, and obviously he was the foundation of everything they did defensively, and he was kind of the vocal leader. So Jalen knew somebody needed to fill that void, and he wanted to be the one who did it. So he was the one you saw in this series. He was on Luka more than anyone. I don't know if you saw, there's like a mic'd up clip last night where he says to Joe Mazzulla, he had just checked out, and he said, no, if Luka's coming back or Luka's staying in, I'm in. Basically, put me in whenever this guy's on the floor. And sure, Luka had a couple of decent games, but the Celtics remained in control. His assist numbers were way down from his season totals. And he took real pride in his defense all year, and it really went kind of overlooked. And then this playoff run, he was just in a different level as a scorer. He had 7 games in a row shooting about 50% in the playoffs prior to, I believe it was Game 4, which is the longest streak in franchise history since Larry Bird. Whenever you're in a Larry Bird conversation, you're doing okay.
No doubt.
But he wasn't forcing things. You mentioned like the left hand stuff. Like there were times when over his career he kind of gets caught in the paint, doesn't really know where he's going. The ball gets knocked away, and people kind of groan, "What's Jalen doing out there?" He evolved as a playmaker. We would see so many times him at practice or a shoot around, and it ends, and he's spending another half an hour with a couple of assistant coaches just working on reads, like real simple things, but working on reads. He definitely put in the work, and there was some pressure on him, like you mentioned, in addition to just falling short so many times. This is also a guy that got a supermax contract that was making him the highest paid player in NBA history. And let's be honest, like Jaylen Brown is not the best player in the NBA. He's not one of the 5, probably 10 best players in the NBA. So that was going to happen regardless, just because he was the first to be eligible for this massive contract, essentially. But it put some new pressure on him. Like, okay, yeah, let's see the $300 million man. Let's see what he can do. And really, over the course of the year, he just answered the bell.
Was there, Adam Himmelsbach's our guest, covering the Celtics for the Boston Globe. Outside of Boston, outside of the organization, there seemed to be a common theme, a common sort of narrative around those two, that duo, that coming off the Warriors series, they won't get it done, and you've got to break up the duo, you've got to trade one of them. Was there that same feeling maybe in the city in Boston, obviously, not in the organization because they didn't do that, but was there a feeling or an insistence that the duo needed to be broken up and have to go a different way because it's never going to happen? If you want to win a championship, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results.
Yeah, there's certainly people who felt that way. I just remember back like when Danny Ainge was the GM here, he'd always say to me one time, he'd always say to me when they fell short or things didn't go well, he'd go, you got to remember, it's really hard to win it all. He was like, there's a reason teams go like 40 years without a championship. It's tough, and we feel like we're right on the cusp. So the idea of being so close and then tearing it down just wasn't appealing to the Celtics. But I also think like if they had kept that roster from last season, which was founded, or Jason and Jalen's foundation of it, they probably weren't going to win the title this year. They won the title because they got Drew Holiday and they got Kristaps Porzingis, 2 players that were perfect complements to Jason and Jalen, added to everything they did, and especially in Porzingis' case, just brought a completely new dynamic to things they're capable of doing, and that's what pushed them over. Obviously, Jason and Jalen had great years, but they weren't winning a title with the roster that they had in the last 2 years. And that didn't mean getting rid of Jalen and adding some pieces around them.
Which was, something that wasn't really discussed much. I just remember having the conversation because I wasn't a believer in Jaylen Brown. I was a believer in you move forward with Jason Tatum and you get what you can for Jaylen Brown and you build around Tatum and, find, another star or something that complements. But obviously I was wrong. Brad Stevens was right and went out and made some phenomenal deals. And it's amazing to see somebody in Brad Stevens, Adam, go from a college coach to an NBA coach to an NBA executive and to be as successful as he's been and to pull off some of these trades and make some moves that are risky. I mean, trading away Marcus Smart seemed to be like, what are you doing? Like that's your heartbeat, as you mentioned. You're going to trade that guy away. The Drew Holiday deal is one of the better, underrated trades that we've seen in a long time. And adding Kristaps mattered. Adding Derek White mattered. Adding Al Horford, getting him back in a trade. All of those things mattered. And Brad Stevens, it's unbelievable just sort of what his reputation will be moving forward in the NBA, from a head coach to an executive, and now having an NBA championship.
Yeah, I mean, he was named NBA Executive of the Year, and really, like, you just went down the list there, but just about everything he's done has hit. And it's interesting. Every move he's done, obviously they're, good basketball moves, but it's a big deal to Brad to get people who are also good people, like good human beings, who are not going to be stirring things up, who value winning. Like, character is a huge, huge deal to him. And all he's done is add one high character guy after another. This is my 9th season covering the team. There's never been a season like this where there wasn't like a single incident of, a guy complaining about his minutes or whatever, 2 guys getting into it on the sidelines. Like, there was none of that. These guys were all just so professional. They enjoy being around each other so much. I think that's probably like a underrated thing of the way Brad goes about building a team that's really important to him. But it's been an incredible transition for him, really. First people wondered, can this guy make the transition from Butler? And he showed he can do that. Then when Danny leaves, like, that wasn't a planned thing, really. But Brad, he wanted to be around his family more. He has 2 like high school age kids, and was having a tough time, especially after the COVID bubble and some tough seasons, just being away from his family so often. So this has allowed him to kind of do both, become an integral part of this franchise in a different way, while also sticking with that family time that's so important to him.
You mentioned how these teams have played together, these players have played together, and Brad Stevens, in building that and bringing a number of those players in. Oftentimes in the NBA, a head coach is sort of just a movable object, right? I mean, it's just put anybody, plug in plays, and it's as long as you've got the players. Joe Mazzulla being hired by Brad Stevens, but those guys not having some of those incidents, not having some of the drama behind the scenes. The influence of a coach in the NBA can sometimes be overrated. I don't know if maybe Joe Mazzulla's has been underrated, but what's his influence and fingerprints on this team for him as being, is he of legal drinking age yet? I think he can now legally drink. I'm not sure, but clearly he's more than just an NBA coach is interchangeable with any other.
Yeah, Joe's 35. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, Al Horford's several years older than him. He references that pretty often.
Unbelievable.
But Joe's ascension has really been fascinating and also just an essential part. Like, here's what you need to know about Joe and Brad together. Joe was basically a behind-the-bench assistant, which is exactly what it sounds like to viewers who aren't up on coach lingo. He wasn't, when a timeout comes and all the coaches huddle, there's a group of coaches who are lead bench assistants. There's another group of coaches that are behind the bench, like a second tier. That's what Joe was when he was hired as head coach of the Celtics. His only head coaching experience was at Division II college in West Virginia. But for Brad to see in him what he was capable of, despite that such limited experience, just from seeing the way he worked with guys, having conversations with him, talking to Joe over the past couple of years, the sense I get is he's one of like the 3 brightest coaches in the NBA. It doesn't always come across, because sometimes he can get a little combative in his press conferences. He admits he's a little bit weird, a little bit different, but he knows the game remarkably well. And it took some time. He has said he's been pretty open about how last year obviously got thrown in such a weird situation after Ime Udoka got suspended. He, based on the eve of training camp, became head coach of the Celtics despite this extremely limited experience that he had. And he said, I didn't have time to develop a philosophy. Still, they were basically Jason Tatum sprained out away from making the finals. But this year, it was different. He had a different comfort level. The players were more comfortable with him. They were able to develop that philosophy together, which is shooting threes, playing defense, spacing the floor, sacrificing is one of his key words. Like, having guys like Drew Holiday understand, hey, you're not going to take 16 shots a game anymore. There's going to be some nights you take 6. And guys just really bought in from the start.
Visiting with Adam Himmelsbach, and last night seeing Al Horford win the championship, and his family up there, and him holding the trophy for the first time in his long career, and a couple of stints now with the Boston Celtics, and the players talking about what it meant to them to help win one for him. It reminded me going back to 2019 season in the NFL and 2020 in February, when so many players on the Chiefs were like, we wanted this very badly for Andy Reid. Like, we know how much it meant to him. He's been coaching so long, getting a Super Bowl. Yes, it's awesome for us, but it means so much to him. I got those same vibes last night, Adam, of the players on the team, and certainly winning a championship means a lot. But there seemed to be this sort of a deference to Al Horford in that, yeah, this is awesome, but man, it means a lot in the fact that we get to help that guy win the championship.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I didn't have like my decibel measure or whatever, but it seemed to me like the ovations during post-game celebrations were louder for Al than they were for anyone. Boston fans appreciate things like that. They appreciate his work ethic. Obviously, his first stint here when he came here as a free agent, they've seen how he's kind of grown in this organization, and they see how much it meant to him. Like, he wanted this championship, and it bothered him. When they had these seasons that fell just short, you could see it probably bothered him more than anyone. And he saw time ticking away. Like, the guy's 38 years old. He's still really, really effective. He knows this isn't going to last forever. So there's kind of an understanding that his chances were running out. Of course, he won his 2 championships at Florida, but he wanted an NBA title, and players were happy to see it, and he was obviously pretty thrilled.
Adam Himmelsbach's our guest from the Boston Globe. A couple more for you. Did this duo of 107 playoff games together with Tatum and Brown, most for any duo before winning a title, in the city and in Celtics lore, did there have to be a championship for Tatum and Brown to have their legacies sort of cemented in Boston? If they fell short a couple of times and never won the championship, did there have to be that ring, that trophy, to go along with how they would be remembered or appreciated in the city for what they did for the organization?
Oh, without question. Like, if they never won a title, let's say they're here together 3 or 4 more years, never won a championship, their time here in this city, for the most part, would be viewed as a failure. It just would. They have 18 championships now, some dynasties along the way. Like, even like the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett team, they only won 1 title, so that's really all it took. And now, like Kevin Garnett's numbers in the rafters, even though he wasn't even in Boston that long, he won 1 championship. But you do that, you change everything of how you're viewed, and just how kind of what your place is in the franchise's history, really.
Yeah.
And Jason and Jalen knew that. They embraced it. They were aware of it. And that's part of the reason it was pretty mean for them to kind of get that off their back. It's also important to remember, like, Jason's 26, Jalen's 27. Like, now that they have one,
wow, who
who knows? Guys get hurt. Other teams make moves. But this team has its core locked up really for years to come. And they're going to be, like, they're already the favorites for next year, the heavy favorites for next year. So it's going to be a chance for them to really, really, like, winning one gets you out of the this has been a failure. Like, winning multiple starts putting you in that all-time great discussion in this city.
My last one for you was going to be, do they win another one? And you sort of led me down that path with, yeah, injuries happen, and certainly they're in position. But I'll ask you, do they get another one before their careers are over in Boston?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm picking yes or no to get another one before their careers are over, I would say absolutely yes. Maybe it's not next year, but they're, like you said, both just in their primes and under contract for years to come. Mm-hmm. And you look around the NBA, this isn't one year where, like, oh, this dynasty had a ton of injuries. Like, of course, there were some key injuries that made it a little easier for them to get here. But it's like guys like Jimmy Butler got hurt, who's like 35. It's not like you look around and see another up-and-coming kind of like dynasty in the making. I wanted to see them play the Nuggets. Everyone here wanted to see them play the Nuggets. I think that would have been just an insane series. Obviously, Denver won twice, swept the Celtics during the regular season. Obviously, that's the team you could have been interesting. And as long as they have Nikola Jokic, they're going to be trouble. But they didn't have to go through them, and they didn't have to go through the Giannis Bucks or the Joel Embiid Sixers. They had an easy path, but they also just demolished that path. They lost 3 games in the entire playoffs, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, I would have loved to see him go up against the Nuggets if Kristaps were healthy. A healthy Kristaps would have been an awesome series to see how that matchup would have gone. Adam Himmelsbach, Boston Globe, joining us. Adam, really appreciate the time. I don't know if last night was as enjoyable to cover a championship without me courtside, there with you. I'm assuming you probably missing something there last night. Like something is missing from this. I'm not sure what it is, but hopefully you enjoyed yourself even without me there.
Yeah, well, that's what I knew. He said we'll do radio tomorrow, so I'm like, Jason's not here, but I'm going to wake up from my midday slumber and we'll chat about the game tomorrow. So it got me through.
There you go, Adam. You're the man. I really appreciate the time as always, brother. Good catching up, and great stuff, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, brother. See you.
Absolutely. There's Adam Himmelsbach. Boston Globe does a great job covering the Boston Celtics, and we appreciate him waking from his slumber as he posted his last story at 5:30 this morning.
As a man that runs Chiefs post-game, post-Super Bowl, I feel that pain a lot.
That's right. And no doubt, and you and Josh, having to come in the next day for this show.
It makes it better, though, because you won.
That's right.
If you lose, it's awful.
Winning it is great. And Adam was going to join us today regardless if they won last night or not. It just so happened that they won last night. So it actually made it a little bit better timing, but also put it more in peril of whether he was going to join us.
Made it harder on him.
I don't know that he's going to be with us or not. I didn't get the confirmation until 10:50 that we were going to have him on 11 because that's when he woke up and saw the phone. Because he was like, "Hey man, text me tomorrow, see if I'm available or not." I'm like, "All right, I will, man." 10:50, good to go. And I think that's when he woke up and went, "Oh." And it's Easter time, so 11:50 for him. He woke up at noon.
Wow, yeah.
Woke up at the crack of noon.
It's hard to wake up at the crack of noon, okay?
It's not.
It's hard.
You would know that, Sterling.
You got to
That's right.
set 4 alarms.
Yeah.
Whenever you got to wake up at the crack of noon, always set 4 alarms. It's real tough, but
But
even show so early for me.
But even waking up at that time, it's still 5 hours of sleep is all he got after covering a championship last night. We certainly appreciate him joining us, and it's look. And I know there's going to be they had an easier run. But a great point by Adam in that they had an easier run, but they demolished their teams. They lost 3 total games in the postseason.
Oh, and even the regular season, they were 64-18. They were 37-4 at home.
They lost 21 total games this year in the regular season and postseason.
Yeah, they were. I can't get over the roster construction of that team. We can talk all we want about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and deservedly so. But Drew Holiday being brought in, Al Horford's consistent ability to get it done, and as a Sixers guy, I slightly hate Al Horford, yet I respect the hell out of him. Like, I don't get how he's in his 40s, just the only guy that can stop Embiid. And then the Sixers trade for him, and he turns back to OKC version of Al Horford. Then he goes back to Boston and is like, yeah, I'm good again. Like, what? Thank you. Peyton Pritchard being solid.
Yeah.
Curtis had a great tweet last night. The Boston Celtics are only the 14th team in NBA history to win 80 games in a single season.
Wow.
Yeah. So they went, 80-21?
Yeah. The other, guess who else did it? 07-08 Boston Celtics as well.
Oh, yeah.
And they won on the same day that they won.
See, anything is possible.
Not 85?
Anything is possible.
85 as well.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Anything is possible.
Lakers
ding,
did
ding.
it 3 times as well. 71, 08, and 86. So.
The 85, yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
I meant 86. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I meant that was the Lakers, Stu.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was right. Then the 85 Celtics, right?
85 Celtics, and then the other ones, the 3 times with the Lakers.
And then the
I
Warriors
know what I'm
with
talking
Steph,
about.
of course. So.
Steph and KD.
Yep.
Yeah, the Warriors with Steph and Clay and KD riding coattails.
And then, of course, Jordan. So.
Right.
And yes, KD riding
They did that
Yes.
for Andres Beatrice. That was all for Andres Beatrice and Baron Davis.
That was the it was the Andre Iguodala Warriors, right? That ended up winning those 80 games. So yeah.
No one has ever been more confident about saying Andre Iguodala than Max Kellerman. That's all I think of Kellerman now.
Really?
Is just who do you want? Game on the line.
Oh,
who do you
God,
want?
yes.
Steph Curry or
I know.
give me Andre Iguodala.
Iguodala. Yeah. Okay. And then, the response at the time would have been, I think that it's preposterous to think that Boston Nefevich is still in the NBA. I mean, please.
Is that your Stephen A. Smith?
It's a little bit, yeah, but I got a cold going on. You got a stuffy nose. It's not as good. I don't know. The acoustics in here aren't great. It's just I don't know. I haven't sang in a while. Just a little rough with the hitting the right notes.
Sing some Minnie Riperton in the break.
I'm not going
That'll
to.
get you loosened up.
Probably not going to. I want to save the voice as much as possible. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. I do want to get into some Royals baseball. Michael Wacha with a rehab start last night in the Surprise Arizona complex. He and Eloy Jimenez, 2 at-bats, matchups, mano-a-mano. Wacha versus Jimenez. We'll talk about that. The 19-game stretch the Royals have wrapped up on Sunday, the 12-game stretch against first-place teams. And I also want to get into the MJ Melendez riddle conundrum. We'll do that as we continue rolling along. More Zone right after this. Chronicles. We will talk with Les Norman coming up at noon. We'll hang out with Todd Lebo in the 1 o'clock hour. Certainly we'll talk some Royals with Les Norman. If you haven't gone and read Jeff Passan's piece at ESPN.com, have you seen this? That Jeff Passan has written came out yesterday. Yesterday morning is when it dropped. It's how Royals Bobby Witt Jr. became an MLB superstar shortstop.
I saw it. Have not gone through the entire article. It's awesome.
Just because, I mean, yes, I am biased, and I know that each and every city is going to be biased towards their guy.
And Jeff is a little too. He's a bit of a Royals fan.
Yep, for sure.
Like, we love.
For sure, but he still has to write nationally.
Absolutely.
And I preface with the fact that I, watch Bobby Witt every single night in every game. But I don't think there is much of a debate when you start digging down deeper between Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson as to who the best shortstop in Major League Baseball is. It's Bobby Witt. And I know people in Baltimore argue it's Gunnar Henderson because he has more home runs than Bobby Witt, which, cool, it matters, it helps. But when Bobby Witt has more of almost everything else, including better defense, much better defense, is faster.
Would you say the Baltimore has a better roster
than
the Royals? Younger as well?
Right. So any of the RBIs and runs scored that you see from Gunnar Henderson, it's a little more difficult for Bobby Witt to be able to account for those. And one of the things I'm going to talk with Les Norman about is, saw this from Jeff Passan's article, the last calendar year for Bobby Witt Jr., going back to July 2023. Have you seen these numbers?
Yeah.
Bobby Witt's the best player in baseball since July of 2023. Not the best shortstop, the best player in baseball. That's 128 games. He has slashed 325, on base at 372, slugging 573, 25 home runs, 96 RBIs, 105 runs, 41 steals, and a 7.9 WAR. Second place is Aaron Judge at 7.2. Then Juan Soto at 6.9. Then Mookie Betts at 6.9. And Gunnar Henderson at 6.7. Bobby Witt over the last calendar year is 1.2 points of WAR better than Gunnar Henderson. The difference between Bobby Witt, number 1, and Aaron Judge, number 2, is the difference between Aaron Judge, number 2, and Gunnar Henderson, number 5. That's the gap. Bobby Henderson to Aaron Judge is a half WAR. Aaron Judge at number 2 to Gunnar Henderson at number 5 is a half point of WAR. He has been the best player in baseball, and there's a margin between 1 and 2. It's been unbelievable when you look at that stretch, those numbers of what Bobby Witt has done. It's unfreaking real. Now, we were on the fun end of the Vote Omar in 2014. It's the not-so-fun end right now with the Orioles fans rushing to vote and Gunnar Henderson leading by 200,000 votes right now over Bobby Witt. There's plenty of time. Not until, July, when the voting ends. But Salvi and Bobby are in second place, respectively, in their positions behind Orioles players Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. We know Royals fans can do their thing because Vote Omar was ridiculous. And it happened.
Slightly ridiculous, yeah.
I mean, it was totally ridiculous. So we know Royals fans can do their thing. We know that. There's no reason for Gunnar Henderson to be starting at shortstop. And it's only part of it. It's only part of the voting or whatever, the overall, but it's his hometown. The All-Star Game's in his hometown, and he's the best shortstop in baseball. He has to be starting shortstop for the American League.
Okay, I'm with you.
Why do you hate Bobby Witt?
I love Bobby Witt Jr.
I already see.
But you're acting like Gunnar Henderson.
So you would take Gunnar Henderson over Bobby Witt?
No, I'm taking Bobby Witt Jr.
I'm not saying Gunnar is Omar.
No, but like,
vote Gunnar. Why is he going to play All-Star Game? He's not worthy.
To me, it's like they're so damn close. Gunnar and Bobby Witt Jr. They're a little different player. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to hit for a little higher average. Gunnar Henderson has 22 home runs to Bobby's 11.
Yeah.
And we know in today's day and age, too, home runs, you get enamored by it, and so everyone's going to point to that. The OPSs are actually very, very similar.
Bobby's a much better defender.
But Gunnar's also a good defender, too. I don't want to take that.
Right. I didn't say he was a bad defender. I said Bobby was better.
Bobby has been one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball, and Gunnar's been probably a top 5 defensive shortstop in baseball.
Yeah, he's been good.
Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best, if not the best, now probably behind Ellie De La Cruz. Top 3 in stolen bases for shortstops. Gunner's probably top 10. He's got 9 to Bobby's 21. To me, they're both very deserving.
Yes.
Like, I could, again, I'm just trying to be unbiased here. I think Bobby's better, but if Gunnar was the starting shortstop, I wouldn't have a whole bunch of qualms. It's the two, in my opinion, this year, maybe Aaron Judge and maybe Juan Soto in the AL, they're clear-cut 4 best players in baseball. Like, I don't think there's
in the American League.
In the American League,
I was going to say Shohei still plays.
No, in the AL. I said AL.
No, you said in the league.
I said AL earlier. I said Judge and Soto in the AL.
Well, it's always like it's weird because it's like when you say league, it depends on the interpretation because that's also the American League, but it's also Major League. So, it's weird, right?
The American League, because I'm an American. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. That makes sense.
I'm not national.
Yeah, totally.
I'm an American.
I get it. I totally get it.
And I'm proud.
Yeah,
and
you
know
should
what? I'm
be.
going to stand up. Proudly stand up.
Good.
Do this next segment next to you because I'm telling you, those 4 guys are the 4 best players in baseball, and it's just unfortunate that both Bobby and Gunnar both play shortstop. If one played second, one played third, we would not be having any of this conversation. I think Dylan brought up a good point. Baltimore's offense and just team is just a little better in general. Gunnar's batting from the leadoff spot and has, 51 RBIs, which is just absurd, but also goes to show the depth of the Orioles lineup. I just won't have some sort of anger. I'll be a little sad, but I won't be upset if Gunnar's the starting shortstop just because I think he's also very deserving.
Well, Gunnar can start next year. I think it'd be cool with Bobby Witt starting in his hometown.
Yep.
In Dallas.
That would be awesome.
I think that'd be cool. But also, he's the better player. But I'm with you. If Gunnar Henderson's a starting shortstop, it's not some travesty. It's not some, oh my God, they voted.
Marcus Semien out there.
Right.
Yes.
Second baseman, but yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
You're good.
Well, I get what you're saying.
I'm just trying to think of like a named shortstop that it's like, okay,
Anthony
this guy.
Volpe. Anthony Volpe is a very good shortstop. He's not even in the same conversation, but Yankees fans want to make you believe that he's in the same conversation as Bobby Witt Jr. and Gunnar Henderson.
I
like Volpe a lot. Very good shortstop. There is a clear drop-off from Bobby and Gunnar. Volpe is number 3. It's a clear number 3. Or at least in that age group. If you want to throw in, some guys in the NL too, or even if you want to throw in
Does Corey Seager still play short?
Corey Seager,
Yeah, that was a good one.
He had a little bit. I mean, he had such a slow start to the season, though. Like he was, he had a slow start, and then he got a small little injury or whatever.
I'm saying if they threw him out there,
absolutely,
it's Texas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That would make sense because that is the team he's playing for.
And he's been pretty good at OPS in 809, 2.2 wins above replacement, 14 bombs, 33 RBIs. Yeah.
So this is like Nomar and Jeter, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. And again,
Nomar better.
I think Bobby's the better player because offensively, Gunnar Henderson has a higher OPS by 30 points. He's got the 11 more home runs. He's got 3 more RBIs and 2 more runs scored than Bobby Witt, playing in a much better offense, mind you, as Dylan pointed out. Bobby's a better defender. And when it comes to voting in all-star games, defense isn't really taken into account much. It's more of a silver slugger than it is than it is the overall best player. You know what I mean? Like, it's who's the best bat at that position. And if you're looking at just simply bat, Gunnar Henderson has been a better bat in terms of OPS, driving in runs, scoring, etc., home runs, right? Bobby Witt's a better overall player. Defensively, speed, power combination,
It's always hard when you use these more analytical numbers and even WAR, because there's two WARs. There's Fangraphs and there's Baseball Reference. Those are the two ones that people use. Bobby Witt Jr. is better in Fangraphs. Gunnar Henderson has 5 wins above replacement on Baseball Reference. Bobby Witt Jr.'s 4.3. For some reason, Baseball Reference is not valuing Bobby Witt Jr.'s defense as highly as Fangraphs. It's just, when you start getting into the more analytical numbers, it's always a little bit of a back and forth. Salvi's is always going to be a lot different when you look at both of those because of the framing numbers and the framing metrics.
Don't care about.
I'm with you. I think it's silly.
Yeah. So what's...
It's also the East Coast bias. They're in the AL East. They play the Yankees and Red Sox all the time, so they're always going to be on TV and always going to be in the largest markets, televisions, too.
But it's interesting because Baseball Reference and Fangraphs, like...
F WAR versus B WAR.
Gunnar Henderson has a higher defensive WAR at Baseball Reference than Bobby does.
Yes, that's my point.
And then Bobby's got a better one at Fangraphs.
Well, that's the difference, because if you look at Fangraphs WAR...
What's Fangraphs defensive WAR for Bob? Do you know specifically defensive?
I have pulled up...
because Baseball Reference, Gunnar Henderson's at 1.1, Bobby's at 0.9.
Yes.
So it's almost negligible at Baseball Reference, but...
Fangraphs overall, Gunnar Henderson has a 4 wins above replacement, and so a full win less. I'm trying to look up the...
Just specifically defensive.
Yeah. That's total.
Interesting.
I have it.
All good. Don't worry about it. Just what I was getting at was the Jeff Passan article that, is just shows the last calendar year that we can argue Gunnar and Bobby for the All-Star game, whatever. We can argue that. But what is inarguable, what is clear-cut, is that the debate is over as to whether or not he's a superstar. And it's probably been over for a couple of months, right? I mean, last year he finished top 7 in MVP voting. This year he was one of the top 3 in MVP voting preseason in Vegas. And he's putting together an MVP season right now. It is not debatable anymore. But then you see what he's done over the last calendar year and how good his defense has become. The Royals have a true, bona fide superstar, one of the best players in the entire game on their hands in watching Bobby Witt for the next 7 years and getting to watch this guy. It's a little surreal living in Kansas City and having the best player in the NFL and one of the best players in Major League Baseball right here in our backyard. It's unbelievable. It's awesome.
I just can't get over the fact that he has lived up to and, quite frankly, exceeded the hype. And I will say, I my computer was frozen right there, but Bobby Witt Jr. actually grades out a fair amount better defensively on Fangraphs than Gunnar. It's just weird how they break down defensive metrics. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I go back to this because growing up here, I've had many a player who's had insane expectations and players who have been good, bordering on great. Eric Hosmer, right? Alex Gordon. How many players, how many times you heard Gordon and Hosmer as they're the next George Brett? They're the next superstar. They were never close for an MVP. They were all-stars. They were all-star players. Never close, though, for MVPs. Really, they were not close. Bobby Witt Jr. is close. He has been that and then some. And that's what, to me, is so fun. Because for all the 1-1s that have been fine players. Hochhaver.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have liked him to be more, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's fine. How many? You'll take that over Asa Lacy.
Yeah.
You'll take. Would you take Hochhaver's career over what you've seen from Casey Mize? Like it's hard. It's hard to get it right. You all want the Bryce Harpers and the Scherzers.
Yeah.
We all want that. It's just not the case. And Bobby Witt Jr. has been the next George Brett. He has exceeded what Hosmer and Gordon. I mean, again, it's hard because they won a World Series.
Individual basis and superstardom.
Yes, it's just so damn impressive. We finally have seen the Ronald Acuna Jr.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen the Bryce Harper. The Royals have their Mike Trout.
Yeah, they do. And they've got him for a long time. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Les Norman coming up at noon. I want to talk a little bit about Michael Wacha, what he did last night on the other side of the break. More Zone next. Michael Wacha, yesterday down in Surprise, 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Now that is not at AA or AAA level in a rehab start. It's down in Surprise. But he faced Eloy Jimenez twice. Got him to pop out to short, but then Jimenez got him with a single through the right side in the second at bat. So major league hitters are hitting 500 off of Michael Wacha in his rehab so far.
Shoot.
That's rough. That's rough. I don't think he's got it anymore. Is it gone? Did he lose it? Did the broken bone in his foot take away his ability to pitch totally? I mean, a 500 average, he's going to get destroyed.
Jason, no nuance Anderson.
nuance? No nuance. Norman, our guest. It's presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook. Victim of a wrongful personal injury and seeking compensation, then call Biesterveld and Crook at 913-LAW-5050. That's 913-LAW-5050. Les Norman joining us here in the zone. Les, what's up, brother? How are you, sir?
Fellas, it's good to be back with you, man. It's great to hear your voices and ready to be back. I want you to know that I think every single sport, every moment of every sport that's been played in the last week, there's a good chance I've seen it.
That is amazing. We first of all, we have to get an update on you, how it went a week ago, and how it's gone since then.
Well, thanks for asking. The surgery was successful. It went very smoothly, and actually there was without detailing too much, there was actually another thing that had been going on. I'd had some stomach issues for like 3-4 years, and the doctor that went in found it, discovered maybe the why behind it. So we might have got a 2-for-1 in the surgery, which is great. Surgery was successful in that they got everything, and everything was what they expected. Friday night was a little touch and go, man. On Friday night, I was, because usually they say 2 days after surgery, you're thinking like that's going to be the worst day. And I'm not a big pain meds guy. I'll do the Tylenol thing, but I don't like the way that stuff makes me feel. So I've stayed away from that. So Friday night, when you're going on 3 hours of sleep in 3 days, I thought this could be it. But no, we made it through, and little things here and there. But today is absolutely my best day, and I'm recovering on the mend very well.
That is amazing. And doctors say everything's going smoothly, like you're good, or a week out, this is where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely, probably maybe a little click ahead of that.
Yes.
Got my first follow-up tomorrow morning, and then I won't need to go back to the doctor until the end of July. So, like I said, everything's good. I wanted to lose some weight. I don't recommend this is the way you do it, but as of this morning, I've lost 10 pounds. So, I'll probably dump another 5 and get back to my high school fighting weight, but in a good way. So, I'm still able to eat. I've been eating, just very lightly, but keeping my calories up, as much as the body can. But it's amazing what God has done to create this amazing body of ours and how it responds. I've been reading up, and they say, well, by 4 days, you'll feel this come back. And by 5 days, you'll feel this come back. And, it has happened to a T. So I'm happy, excited. Doctors are super positive, and it feels good to be cancer-free.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So they go in, they do the surgery, everything went as planned. You said you have your checkup tomorrow. Is that when you find out that you're cancer-free, or you've already been told, hey, we got it all out, you are definitely cancer-free right now?
Well, we know we got it all out. There's one little thing there that, hey, if this was, because on the actual prostate, if there was a lot of scar tissue from biopsy, and so it's a normal process that they'll biopsy it one more time just in case. And so, there's like a 99% chance that it's all clear. If there happens to be something on the outside that might have been cancerous, it might be one quick little radiation thing, but that's not, it's not chemo, and it's not, super invasive again. So we're about 99% cancer-free. To be bold with you, tomorrow's follow-up is that this horrible catheter finally comes out. Holy cow, the manhood gets tested with that. But. But no, it's good, man. It's I'll have anything to be cancer-free. So we're at the 99% marker, and within a few days, hopefully that'll bump to 100%. But either way, the prognosis looks great.
Man, I got to tell you, last week, yes, absolutely. There you go.
Thank you.
Last week, sitting here on Tuesday at noon, our regular time to talk with you, and we're sitting here talking about sports. And certainly we had you on our mind, knowing what you were going through at that time, and getting prepped and everything for, surgery, and hoping that the result is what we know it to be now, in that they would go in, things would go as planned. They'd see, when they're in there, what they saw on the outside, and get it all out. And the next time we talk to you on Tuesday would be this conversation. But there's no doubt, there was a little distraction to the show in the noon hour yesterday, knowing what our friend and one of our loved ones, Les Norman, was going through last Tuesday.
Well, thank you guys. That obviously means the world to me. From the get-go, when I checked in the hospital last week on Wednesday, the staff at St. Luke's East Hospital in Lee Summit it's above and beyond. I mean, the people that checked me in, the nurses that, helped me, hey, change into this, and we're going to give you this, and the way they talked me through it. And my oldest son is graduating from nursing school in December, and so they let both my boys and my wife come back, and they let one of my buddies come back as well in different shifts, so they didn't crowd it up. But the people that came in, the anesthesiologist that came in, I mean, here's this guy that's been doing this for probably 35 years, just introducing himself. I went to shake his hand, and as he told me what was going to happen and what they were going to be doing, he held my hand the entire time, because that's when you start getting nervous. You're like, okay, now it's hitting the road. Now this is real. And then the other two came in and they're joking around, and the door broke when I was getting ready to go out and get wheeled into the operating room. Like, well, I said, I guess I can't do the surgery. Sorry, guys. Like, no, you're not in a hospital bed. You're in a holding room bed. So sorry, buddy. You're getting out of there. And then I get wheeled in, and right before I pass out from going to sleep for the surgery, the attendings are in there, and they're welcoming me in. It was like a party, like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, am I in the right place? I think I'm having surgery. It's like a party. But then my doctors came in, and one of my orthopedic doctor, who's a friend of mine, Dr. Rapley, he came in, and there were at least 10 people that came in and just sat with my wife for 3 hours during the procedure. They just wouldn't leave. I mean, they put their lives on hold and came in and sat with my family and loved on them. And, people have brought food and called, and I've had over 100 text messages or phone calls in the week. And sorry, Ben, you guys know I'm emotional, but it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm so happy to be on this side of it. But I'll end with this and say that before I finally straighten up, we can talk some sports here. I said it before, I'll say it again. The support that you and Sterling and Dylan have shown me, and the rest of the public with emails, calls, everything has been more than I deserve. So I just want to say thank you to you guys first, and to everyone else out there who has just loved on me. That's not an easy thing for me to receive. I want to love on people and take care of people, and it's just been humbling to be able to accept that. So thank you guys, and thank you to everybody else. I can't say thank you. I wish I had more words, but I appreciate it so much. It's been life-changing.
Les, if it was more than you deserve, you wouldn't have it. So,
I hear you.
So it's
love
absolutely
you, buddy.
what you deserve. We love you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Man.
I love you, too.
And we are so happy and there with you, and your support system has been phenomenal around you. And from the phone call that I got from you to where we're at now, I couldn't be more ecstatic and more happy with the emotional journey that you've gone through to be on this side of it. And there's perspective that's gained in a lot of different ways, and it's not the best deal to gain perspective in that particular manner and doing that, but certainly it's there. And when cancer touches everybody, whether it's them specifically or somebody very close to them, we know that. And everybody's journey is different. And I'm just so incredibly happy and proud and lucky that your journey has been this, and you are somebody that has come in my life, 15, 16 years ago, from the first time we talked and started hosting shows together to now. It's been one of the best things that's happened to me, Les. And so I wasn't ready for you to go away anytime soon. So I'm glad that we're stuck with you for the next 30 years, 40 years.
Well, you definitely are. And so, you guys already know that if there's everything in your life that you need. I mean, you've been there for me. I'd be there for you in a heartbeat. And this has been a great journey. I love working with you all, but more importantly, I just love that we're friends and we can do life together. And that means more than anything. So thank you for that. And, this has been a fun and amazing journey. I don't wish it on anybody, but if it happens to, happen, you can get through it. And again, to all those men out there, get your PSA test. Early detection is everything, and it's a blood test. It's not what it used to be. They just draw your blood, they do a test, they give you numbers, and then you can go see your doctor and talk about it. I've had a lot of people that have told me that since we've had this news and through my journey that they've done it, but there's more out there, and there's nothing to be afraid of. You don't want to find out when it's too late, so get out there, call your doctor, get your PSA, simple blood test, takes 20 minutes. You'll be done, you'll know, and then you can move on and rest easy. Les
Norman, we're talking with him, breaking the norm. That's what we like to do around here is break the norm, and I love the conversations that we have because they're sports and they're life, and I hear so much reaction about our conversations on Tuesdays at noon than almost any other conversation we have or I have on the show, really, with anybody, just about sports and about life. And it's awesome, and it's because of the person that you are. And I think people appreciate how real you are. And that has come through the last couple of months of how real you are on the radio. And, I don't expect twice in a couple of months to be crying doing the show. I think I've cried.
Sorry, brother.
I think I've cried 3 times on the air. One was the day after the Super Bowl in Miami when I was crying thinking about my dad and nephew.
Yeah.
That wasn't expected to be opening up the show and talking about that. And then the other 2 have been talking with you about this journey. So
well, man, it's again, I feel like it's important for us to be real, and everybody's got their own level of emotion. And obviously, I'm an emotional guy. I think it's important for all of us, no matter what stage of life we're in, age, gender, whatever it is. We need to be real, because when we're exposed, that's when we can receive the love and receive the lessons that are intended to grow us and make us stronger, make us better, and make us better for other people. I mean, I wouldn't change a single thing, because sometimes somebody's going to have the same thing I did, and they're going to be in my life, and I'm going to be able to help them through it and encourage them, and we get to encourage each other. And I think something like this, for me, it has really shown me the value of relationships and really caring about people. I mean, you've heard me say this before too, behind every face there's a drama unfolding, and you never know what's going on. And so we want to go through our lives sometimes in our own world, but sometimes a smile, thank you for holding that door open, just some little thing to encourage someone could be the last hope they have, or just something that they needed when they're struggling with something. And so it's important for us to be real. You don't have to cry every day, maybe like I do, but it's still important to sometimes let yourself out there and to know that it's okay to be able to do that, because it lets other people in, and life wasn't meant to be spent alone. And, that's why maybe you don't do this show solo. Maybe, the 4 of us doing this show together just allows us to think back one day that we get to spend all this time together and talk about sports and the Royals, but life as well.
Les Norman's our guest. Les, I want to ask you something else that is, I think personal to you, but I think could be something for, people that are listening. You and I have had conversations about, our, youth and growing up and relationships and things like that with family and everything. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I think is an interesting part of a journey is going from, your 20s and 30s and career and figuring things out to then finding a place in life to where there's contentment, to where there's appreciation, to where there's love, there's openness. And I'm, just from your standpoint, you are one of the best people that I've ever been around. At what point and how did you get to, has it always been like this is just sort of innate to you? Is there the journey to where there were steps that you took along the way to get to this point in how open and how loving and how as special of a person overall that you have become?
Man, Jason, how dare you ask an incredible question like that? Wow, that's amazing. From being a little dude, remember I went into baseball because I was escaping an abusive dad.
Yes.
And so that was just, there are guys down there playing, I'm going to go down there and play, which is better than what this is going on. And obviously that developed into, spending my time doing that and then falling in love with the game. I think there were a couple stages. Last week, 2 weeks ago when I interviewed Bobby Meacham, we talked about that a little bit. He was the first person that introduced me to that there was more to life than what we thought it was. And he shared about faith and having a relationship with the Lord and what that meant. And I had spent that whole time in high school and college wrapping myself into sports because I was just hiding from the pain of not having a dad around, from age 12 and beyond, abusive until 12, and then he left, never saw him again. And so I was just wearing a jersey to cover things up. And so he taught me that, God loved me and that I read the Bible and understood that I was created to do something incredible. And so that was the first phase. And then the second phase going through, when I was coming up through the organization and doing really well, surprisingly, when I first started playing, I thought, I'm going to do really well. I'm going to be it's going to be the middle finger to the world. Everybody thought I was too little, and my dad didn't want me, and the world made fun of me, and I was bullied. And so guess what? I'll show them, and it'll be a middle finger to the world. But as I pursued that was such an empty place. And then I ended up doing well after the surgery and after that time with Meach and playing my way up to the big leagues in a crazy against all odds kind of thing. But I think the next part of it was in 99 when Tony Muser was the manager and they signed me back with the Royals. And Muser had told me, you made the team. And then the next day he took Scott Pose instead of me. And I never saw a day. And I had earned everything and beyond what he told me I needed to do that spring. And he looked me in the eye and said, hey, you made the team. We need to trade Jeff Conine. And so I was excited. Went back and told Kristen. I was talking with Karen Kornacki, who was with KNBC, and she's a friend. And so we were talking about, we made the team. We're so excited. Can't wait. And that they traded Conine that night. Next day, went to the minor league complex, saw the cart coming over, and Ron Johnson, who was our manager at the time, came over, and I'm thinking, okay, here's the announcement. I made the big leagues again. He said, Scott Pose, you made the team. Go get your stuff. And I was flabbergasted, and I was bitter, and I was angry. I went to AAA, started the season like 0 for 27, and I went back to thinking about myself and being really, really selfish and developed some friendships along the way. And one of the friendships I had when I was in Kansas City was Mike Lasardi, who was our chaplain, he's passed away since. But Mike really taught me biblical selflessness. He taught me what the life of Jesus was like and how I was supposed to look to other people and care about other people. And so after that moment, I think the final thing was I'd called Kevin Seitzer and told Seitz, I'm like, hey, man, this just happened. Listen to what Tony Muser just did to me. And Kevin Seitzer was like, praise God, man, that's amazing. I said, Kevin, I thought you were my friend. Did you hear what I just said? I mean, he lied to me. He said, man, all that's telling you is that is not where God wants you. And it took me a while to swallow that pill. But after that point, I realized, look, I want to have a family. I want to raise my kids and give them everything. I didn't have kids yet, but I wanted to give them everything that I didn't have. I wanted to serve other people. I wanted to be the best husband, the best father I could be, and I want to love on people and stop being selfish. And so I studied the Bible, did everything I could to love my wife well, raise my kids well once we had our 2 boys. And so that's been some of the there's some smaller points along that journey, but those were kind of the main issues that I feel like God had taught me over the course of my life. And, at 55, now recovering a week after surgery from having prostate cancer, still married to my best friend. My sons are thriving. They're selfless, wonderful people who love each other and care about other people and love other people as well. And to be able to get to do what I do every day, on Tuesdays, I get to come on the phone with you guys or come in person and talk about baseball. And sometimes I think, who wants to listen to me talk about baseball? I mean, you should be calling Mike Sweeney or people like that. But it's a joy that I get to do this and get to invest in the lives of other people. And I hope one day when I'm remembered, it doesn't have anything to do with baseball. It has to do with the husband and father that I was, the man of faith that I was, and how much I loved other people.
Well, let me just say that we're not going to switch to baseball in this segment. We'll take a break. I will say that from the time we first met, when I thought of Les Norman, it was baseball. And now when I think of Les Norman, I think of the person you are and my friend, and baseball is like 3rd or 4th down the line. So that's and I think that's part of what you've become with a lot of people around town. That they know that when they're listening to Les Norman, it's not just, oh, this is going to be a baseball conversation, or I immediately think, Les, it's baseball. Les Norman, baseball. No, I think Les Norman, and the first thing that comes to my mind is one of the greatest people that I've ever met. One of the best individuals I've ever met. So baseball,
Thanks, buddy.
Baseball is immaterial to the person that you are, and my enjoyment of talking to you every Tuesday. So there we go. All right. We should take a break. We'll come back. We are breaking the norm with Les Norman, and we will talk some baseball on the other side of the break. More Zone next. Presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook. Les, we get to live in a time where we watch Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do their thing, and we get to live in a time where the Royals might have the best player in baseball, Les?
Yes.
I was talking about in the previous hour, I don't know if you have checked out Jeff Passan's piece at ESPN.com, but in the last calendar year, going back to July of 2023, so the last calendar year, Bobby Witt has the best WAR in baseball of 7.9. Second best is Aaron Judge at 7.2. Bobby Witt, literally by the stat of WAR, has been the best player in baseball in the last calendar year.
That's amazing, but yet I'm not surprised. I mean, last week I was watching a game where I think it was a game where he had pulled the ball into the corner to tie that game against the Mariners up when he hit that triple in the ninth, right? I think that was the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's the game they lost, I don't know, but either way, he hit the triple in the corner, and as he approached second base, he got a little bit wide on his way to third. And as he's running, he sticks his right arm up in the air in a millisecond of flying around the bases and jerks his right arm toward left field that instantly maneuvered and pushed his body back toward third to correct the wide route that he took. And I happened to see that. I'm like, is there anything that this dude cannot do? It's unbelievable. So to be able to watch his approach and his defense, some of the plays he's making, and it's every day, and the fact that he just turned 24, I mean, holy cow. I voted on the All-Star ballots yesterday, and I was mad that Gunnar Henderson's got more votes than he does because I know the numbers are up, and Gunnar Henderson's a great player, but I'll make an argument that not only is Bobby Witt Jr. the best shortstop in the American League, but he's the best player in baseball.
The play you're talking about, I remember it distinctly because I remember it was either, I can't remember if it was Ryan or Rex, but when he came around third on the replay, they showed it from behind the third base dugout. And one of them noted and said, and Bobby Witt Jr. is waving himself home, because his left arm was sort of like getting his balance to get back on path, and it did look like he was like waving his arm home.
Yeah,
but it was a great call. It's like Bobby Witt Jr. waving himself home to and I thought about that same thing. Like clearly he's getting his balance back to not take the route as wide, not lose his momentum and speed, but be able to cut that down to not lose maybe 2 steps, which could be the difference of getting thrown out at home or being safe.
Was that the one where he Supermaned into third?
No, this was one where he scored.
Okay.
Yeah, he was rounding third, and he came home. Right, Les? Is that the same one you're talking about when he rounded third?
No, the one I'm talking about was the Superman into third.
Yeah, okay,
but
all right.
Me and Les on the same page.
But I know the one you're talking about as well. And look, as good as he's been, and especially with the bloodline of baseball with his dad, he's played on great teams, he's had great coaches, and he's learned all those things. But to be able to learn those things and practice them a little bit, but do it just like that without even thinking about it, where it becomes a baseball instinct. You combine that baseball instinct with talent and the amazing hard work he's put in as even still a young kid. It is really amazing to watch. I mean, it's just been incredible.
How difficult is it? And I know it's difficult because it's one of the things you can't really measure at like combines or when you're scouting, but to find somebody who's got the natural gifts, right? A 5-tool player can do anything on a baseball diamond, but you have to match that with what you just talked about, Les. You've got to match that with the incredible work ethic and a true passion and love for the game. You can have a great work ethic, but that might be mowing the lawn or working on your house and doing some of those things around the house, but not necessarily loving the profession that you're doing, not necessarily loving the game, but he's got a passion for the game and an incredible work ethic. And when you combine that with, all the tools that are there, you get somebody who has ascended from, a year and a half ago of us saying this guy has to move to third base and he strikes out too much, and I don't know that he'll ever realize some of the potential that's there, to, hey, over the last 12 months, he's been the best player in all of baseball. Like, you can't just have the 5-tool guy. I mean, the 5-tool guy can get away on talent and get through on just natural ability and be a really good player. But finding the guy that's got the incredible passion and the work ethic for the game and willing to do that to hone and maximize those skills that are God-given, that's hard to find, and that's what makes him, a unicorn.
Absolutely. You're genetically born with the 5 tools within you when you're that type of player and that type of athlete. But you still have to be led well. You have to. Your parents and coaches and people that are around you all the time need to be able to see what's in you and be able to develop that. But they also, they're raising. His parents have raised an exceptional young man, and he's had, he's learned leadership and he's applied leadership. He has a joyfulness about him, and you can see an exuberance in the way he plays, even when things might not be, going well, or he maybe had a bad at bat, or knows he should have made that play, or something else. And so there's also maturity there. You lead by example when you're mature. And so, yeah, he's got the 5 tools, but there's all those intangibles there as well. And I think probably the most important one is to be coachable. Because when you're really, really good at a really young age, sometimes you don't tend to want to listen to what other people have to say because you think you've got it figured out. But I for even a second on the field, I don't know him, I don't hang out with him, we don't go to dinner, but eventually those kind of negatives would present themselves in some way on the field because, our character comes out when we're squeezed, whether it's sports or life. And it's just been amazing to see what this young man can do. And I got to be honest with you, I'm glad we're talking about him in a Royals uniform for a long time.
No doubt. And that contract is already taken care of. And
yep.
I think that, his rookie year when he was struggling at shortstop and was playing, by some of the numbers, the worst defensive shortstop in all of baseball. Not only was it not good, it was bad. And as he was doing that, and us wondering, what his future is going to be, this was before we find out that offseason he goes and just breaks it all down and starts from the beginning with playing defense and with his fielding coach and saying, let's start over. From the basis, from the first step, everything. Let's build it again. And now he's one of the best shortstops defensively in all of baseball. So before you knew sort of that he was willing to do that and put in all the work in the offseason while being a bonus baby, the number 2 pick in the draft, a superstar, whatever, can just sort of rest on his laurels. There was something that told me about Bobby Witt in that his rookie year, Les, every game he was at his locker after the game was over answering questions. That's rare. It's somebody that grew up in the game, right? That sort of understands, that gets it, that knows sort of that's part of the job.
Yeah.
But nobody told him to do that. Like, nobody's going to Whit Merrifield didn't do that every single game. And if somebody would have been told to do that, it would have been one of the leaders, one of the veteran guys. And Bobby was willing to do that. And every single game after the game's over, you can hear from Bobby Witt because he's going to be there at his locker. And I think at an early age, he took that on as in like, no, I'm taking responsibility, maybe not for the team, but for my game, how I played. And I'm right here ready to answer any questions, good or bad. And that told me a lot before I even knew what he was going to do in the offseason with rebuilding his defensive approach.
Right. I'm sure his dad probably had some conversations with him like, hey, when I was in the big leagues, this is how you do it. This is how you do interviews. This is how, when you have a good day, it's easy to be eager to talk to the press. But when you have a bad day, that's where the real character is going to come out. And that's how you take responsibility for the position that you have. And so, respecting other people, leading by example, not being too high or too low emotionally, realizing that you're gifted and being thankful. I mean, those are all life lessons that we all want to live by. We all want to raise our kids to have. We all want that in our spouse. All those different things. But when you're at the forefront of one of the greatest sports in the world, and you're on TV every day, and you're in the spotlight because you're arguably the best player in baseball, those are things that are going to come out. And so, again, I keep going back to the times where I'm sure he was raised, the conversations he had with his parents, maybe the times that he had certain coaches or people that he called, because eventually, and I even went through it, and I was by no means any kind of superstar, but I went through 1 year in AAA where if I wasn't hitting 380, The game was. I was going through a stretch where the game slowed way down, and it was really, really easy. And there were times like, oh yeah, I've got this, no problem. No, some of it was because I didn't have somebody in my ear, but I still have to take responsibility for that. And so that didn't help me handle the difficult times when they came up. Then I became really high when things are good, really low when things are bad. And you don't last a long time in this game or any professional sport or difficult times in life if you're too up and down emotionally. And so he obviously has been taught well, led well, but took on the responsibility to live out what he was taught. And that's why you're seeing a character guy and a guy that's going to play well for a long time, not just because he's skillful, but because he's learned those lessons and applied them.
Go ahead. Sir.
I just wanted to say that I found some news that I think Les is going to be thrilled by. Les,
Uh-oh.
I found this is for you, okay? The
right.
the ABS challenge system set to be used in AAA starting June 25th.
There you go.
All right, Major League Baseball sent a memo to farm directors Tuesday that beginning June 25th, all AAA games will use the ABS challenge system.
What is that?
So that is now that where the pitcher, or I guess the hitter and catcher can basically say, hey, challenge, what Paul Skeens was doing.
Yeah.
Originally on Tuesday through Thursday, they had the full automatic, which apparently fans, players, and even managers did not like. They hated it when it was all brought, every single pitch was brought in on the ABS and just into the umpire's ear. Apparently that did not go over very well. So now this is not just a couple-day thing. Every game, starting June 25th, will be the challenge system. So if you think you threw a strike, catcher, boom.
Dylan, you're not happy about that? Wait,
why is Dylan not happy?
You want the fully automated
I'm
robo
glad
umps?
that we sped up the pace of play of baseball so that we can now go right back to challenging almost every pitch and taking up all the time in the world.
As opposed to just having the balls and strikes called of what it would be anyway.
Exactly.
That you don't have to challenge that. How many challenges do you get per game, Sterling?
I'm not seeing that. Some said 2, some said 3. I'm not seeing a guaranteed number, but I did say the survey with the fans, players, and the league, they prefer the challenge system over full ABS. I don't know in front of me if the full ABS just took too long of a time. This might actually be quicker, Dylan, than the full ABS. 61% of team personnel and 47% of fans prefer the challenge system, and only 11% of personnel and 23% of fans wanted the full ABS. So this was by far the most popular.
So ABS is robot umps.
Robot umps is ABS.
Automatic ball strikes?
Yes, ABS is robot umps, but the challenge system with ABS apparently is going to be able to speed the game up while obviously allowing the ability to challenge certain pitches.
Yes, so it shouldn't take long to challenge it, right? I mean, you challenge it and then they should know immediately, like, well, that's a strike, that's a ball.
Yeah, just ask the NFL. It shouldn't take long to challenge obvious calls.
It sounds like the ABS has given Dylan IBS.
That's great. Very good. Very good. That'll go in cuts, Les, and you're absolutely correct.
Well, Les, that's for you, bud. This is for you.
There you go.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that gift. And you know me and my unparalleled love for umpires of all divisions, of course. But the thing that I like about that, too, on the challenge system at least, is that it's going to start holding hitters more accountable because it's easy to strike out, blame the umpire, run back, maybe you weren't prepared, something like that. So it's not just the umpires that now have to be better, and there's instant accountability, which is good. That's what I've always wanted. I don't think we have to go all the way to the ABS system and have a challenging system. That's fine. But there needs to be accountability. But hitters need to have accountability as well. You can't blame, it was a bad umpire. If I strike out and he makes a good call, I'm going to go ahead because everybody's going to be on my side and it's not going to be my fault. No, be prepared. Make a switch when it's 2 strikes or something like that. And so accountability across the board is good. Just if you need a doctor, man, I can help you on the IBS side.
Les Norman is our guest, breaking the norm. We'll take
it's
a time.
Only in AAA now, Les, so we'll wait until it gets to the majors.
We'll find
I
out.
gotcha.
We'll find out. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. I want to get into the MJ Melendez conundrum, the MJ Melendez riddle of what he's done the last 14 games. It's one of the more unique profiles of a game log for a player. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break, hanging out with Les Norman, presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, hanging out with Les Norman, breaking the norm, presented by TruckMovers.com, First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and presented by Biesterveld and Crook. All right, Les, what to do with MJ Melendez? Let me give you these numbers. So, last 14 games, MJ Melendez is hitting 163. He's getting on base at 234. He's slugging 442 for a 676 OPS. He has 7 hits in 43 at-bats, Les. 4 home runs.
Yeah.
He is 3 for 39 when not hitting a home run. But those home runs, 3 of them, 3 of those 4. Seattle, they were down 9-4. He had the 3-run shot to make it 9-7. They ended up coming back and winning.
Yep.
Seattle, bottom of the ninth, down 3-1, 2 outs, 2-run shot to tie the game. And then at the Dodgers, down 2-1, 2 outs, 12-pitch at bat, grand slam to put him up 5-2. So the man is 3 for 39 outside of home runs, and those are 3 home runs in the last week of baseball. Do you live with the terrible, play at the plate if you get those 3 hits from time to time? Like, how do you assess MJ Melendez and what he's done recently?
You just pinch hit him when you need a home run. I mean, I don't know. Seriously, I don't know what else to tell you. The one thing I'll say is when I was watching the video, the grand slam, I didn't see it live that inning. I was doing something and came back in, but his head was still. I continue to watch him swing a baseball bat and watch his body fly toward the first base dugout, and there's just movement all over the place. And we've talked about it the last couple times. It drives me crazy to watch all that movement, and then you watch all successful hitters at the point their hands approach the ball and swing the bat, their head is still. And you can talk about front foot, back foot, all these other mechanics. Fine. All I'm saying is that if your head is moving, it is hard to make consistent contact. But when I see him blast a home run, especially a big one, and every home run is kind of a big one, but when your head is still, you got to put 2 and 2 together. And I don't understand where the misfire is there. So for me, those are great home runs, and that's amazing. But, in the long run, if we had this conversation a month from now, how many more times is MJ Melendez going to do that? I mean, is he really just going to come up and hit a clutch home run? That's probably not going to happen. It's just an interesting streak that he's on where pitchers made mistakes. And, yeah, he battled in the 12-pitch at bat, and that's great too. But I would still be thinking about a different left fielder in the long run, be thinking trade deadline. They've gone with him long enough, I feel like. It's not an assault on his character, and it's an assault on his numbers. And in the long run, if this team is going to win, you got to have a guy out in the outfield that's going to be able to be a little more consistent.
Yeah, it's a couple of weeks that I don't remember ever seeing from a player. That just, if he's not hitting a home run, like outside of those 3 home runs, he is 4 for 40 when he's not hitting those 3 home runs.
That's 100.
He's batting 100, except for a 3-run shot in a game that they eventually come back from being down 7-0, a 2-run shot to tie the game in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, and a grand slam with 2 outs, down by 1 against the Dodgers on a 12-pitch at bat.
It's the Melendez line.
It's the Melendez line. That's right. Not the Mendoza line, the Melendez line. You're batting 100, but 3 amazingly clutch home runs in that time.
Well, hey, you got to be known for something.
There you go. Les, you are known for being an amazing individual. We always love talking with you, brother, and I look forward to seeing you back here in studio very soon.
I can't wait till next week, but I really look forward to today. And again, I appreciate everybody out there. I've been getting text messages from Travis and Danny while we've been sitting here, and so I want to thank those guys as well, and just thank everybody for all the support. And I'm looking forward to getting back in with you guys in person.
You're the man. Love you, brother.
Love you too, guys. Thank you.
See you,
all
buddy.
Right, there's Les Norman. We'll take a break. Come back. We'll talk with Todd Lebo next.
He never had much use for it himself. This
Lebo.
he called himself
Lebo.
Sometimes there's a man. Well, he's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there. And that's
Todd Liabo.
Kansas City.
I hate Lebo.
La 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 la.
All right, hanging out with Todd Lebo here on this Tuesday edition of The Zone. We'll get some factor fishing coming up in the fiction.
Fact.
Fact or fission?
Fact.
Fishing.
Fact or fission?
Fission.
You know what? I think that's a fact. Nope, I'm going fishing on that one. No way. Fact or fishing?
We'll get it done.
I would love to go fishing. Get an ice cold beer in one hand, rod in the other. Tell you what,
It's good times.
it's good time.
I was just my last year at this time. I was fishing in Canada, and I've been getting a lot of one-year memories
Oh,
pop
your memories, yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that was fun.
Would you like to be fishing in Canada right now?
No, there's no place I'd rather be right now than
Is it
right
cold
here.
in Canada right now?
No, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice where we were. We were very far north, but it was nice.
Is it better than
colder
90
than
degrees?
here.
Is it better than 90 degrees?
It definitely wasn't humid, and it was cooler than here, but it was wonderful. We had great weather every day we fished.
Do you catch pike? What do you catch?
We
up
were
there?
catching
Cod?
pike, yeah, and lake trout,
Whale.
and
They were
pike
fishing
is what
for
you're
whale.
really
Whale are actually
going
whales.
Oh.
You're going for pike, and then but we caught some lake trout one day.
Ooh.
Deep.
Good eating?
Great eating.
Yeah.
Eat that stuff right. That they catch it and eat it for
Yeah.
lunch.
Nice.
I did that in Louisiana. You
Yeah.
get you some redfish. You catch it that day, grill it that night.
It was
oh,
great.
baby.
It was wonderful, wonderful. So we that was a year ago, and I saw those memories. Like that was good, but this is where I want to be here, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with like the weather there, and like next Wednesday, it's supposed to get below 90 again. Like
That'd
next
be good.
Wednesday, the high will be
Ooh,
below
that's
90.
cold.
Yeah, so just enjoy the 90-degree weather for the next week straight. That's fine.
Why do you guys hate
listen,
90? It's great.
90's fine. It's the dew
beautiful.
point
90's
being
not fine.
70 right now.
Oh, dude, it was. I was in the
Moist.
office and I'm trying to type,
Yeah.
and my hands are like,
Grow
what the
up.
heck? I am. I'm grown. I'm a grown man.
But
I'm 40.
It's a little thick. It's a little thick right now.
I don't mind this.
It's
This
fine.
is lovely.
It's fine.
I play
It'll be
pickleball,
later.
mow the lawn.
It'll be 100 degrees or 95 or 98 one of these days. When we had the new day at the K on Thursday, that was way hot. It's been the hottest day of the year.
Thank you.
That was
I
hot.
felt bad for you guys. Like it seemed like it was
I did
a lot
not
of fun.
spend much time out in the seats. I spent a lot of time in the rivals bar.
Well, I
for
like
you.
your hat,
Standing.
though. I like that hat you have to
bucket hats.
protect the
Got
dome.
everything.
Well, no, it's
And
like a
the back.
safari hat he's
Yeah.
rocking.
Oh, yeah.
now. Yeah.
Keep that out of the back of your neck too, because
Yeah.
you never know where you're going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a hot day for that, but it was fun. It was a good time.
There was an umpire over the weekend that had a bucket hat on underneath his mask.
Should.
That's what he was wearing. I'm like, you know what? It's perfectly fine.
Respect it.
It's great.
Why?
To protect the back of his head, to protect
okay.
So he had his regular mask on. It wasn't wearing a helmet. It's just the regular
Old
umpire
school, yeah.
mask,
But
old
that's why
school.
you get the backwards catcher helmet.
It's almost
For the
time-
umpire? Does the
Yeah.
umpire have a
they
backwards
not have one?
catcher? I know. I don't.
We're almost getting weather to where the big dudes be rocking the wet towel, and they
Oh,
just
yeah.
they keep it over the
A
neck.
lot of wet towels.
Yeah.
A lot of wet towels.
Blue
you
Just,
guys.
jammy that everyone has. Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely some of
You
those.
got to have the little neck towel.
Oh, for sure, man. All right, special session going on today with the Kansas legislature. The main part, or the reason they called the special session, was to vote on the budget and the tax breaks
Right.
of up to $1.3 billion. And then also the star bond for the Chiefs and or Royals.
Professional sports
Professional
teams.
sports teams of at least
MLB
30,000
yeah.
seats.
Yes.
So that would cover both the Chiefs and the Royals. So that is going on today. Is there an expectation, Todd, that you've heard that it will, that it
I
will
don't
pass?
know. I was
or-
watching some of it before I came in here. You can watch it. It's on the
right.
the live stream of the Kansas legislature.
on the interwebs.
Is it electric or what?
No, it's not electric, but you're going to have both sides talking, of course. And I think, when we talk about this, Soren had
Tarwater.
Tarwater.
Representative Tarwater. Yeah.
is not Scott, not Sean. It's not Dan. That's the Missouri guy. It's
not
brother.
Jason?
Starts with an S. He was in here, District 27.
Seren.
Sean
Sean.
Tarwar.
He was on, and when he tells it. Sounds like it's all, everyone is behind this. But I just saw him up on the podium with a guy from Wichita, and the guy from Wichita was asking him questions, and he didn't really have answers to the questions. So how much is this going to – well, estimates are it's going to cost this much, but how much is it going to cost? How much? And, they don't have those answers yet because they don't know if they're building a 30,000-seat stadium or 70,000-seat stadium with a dome and all that. So there are plenty of people who don't want this in that legislature as well. This is a little different deal than what we dealt with in Jackson County. In Jackson County, every person had a vote. Now, there's not every person voting here. Your legislator is going to vote how he votes. Now, did you voice to your legislator what you want him to do? Or did they say, I got 6 people sent me emails and they all hated it, but maybe your district actually has 60% of the people who want it. You don't know. Yeah. This is the kind of the way government works here at this level. So we'll see. We'll see if this thing passes through, but they're debating it right now.
Well, they would, if they pass it, then it would give them until June 30th of 2025 for the Chiefs to agree to whatever terms are. It's funny. It's like,
I guess, or any team to agree.
Or really any Chiefs or Royals, right? Yeah. But it's funny. It's like, hey, we don't have these questions to where we can approve this to where then we can even get into negotiations with the Chiefs or whatever. Whereas we had some of those same questions and it was on the ballot in Jackson County. It's like, how much is this going to cost? Well, we'll get back to you on that. But we do want you to vote yes, they're citizens. And this being star bonds as opposed to that's a tax for
the one thing that
sales
did
tax for the
perk my ears up that they mentioned when they introduced the bill was that this was not in the preliminary discussions. They will use a sales tax on alcohol that's in this area, whatever it is.
Whoa.
That would help pay it off, too.
I thought it was going to be...
Like they're raising the tax on my booze?
No, I think it was 100. I thought it was 100% of all of the liquor sales tax goes to the star bonds. But that they're not necessarily raising the tax
on.
It's
just they're going to use that.
They're just using...
that's fine, yeah.
They're using you're telling me in that district that they create.
You're telling me I can make the excuse that I am buying liquor so I can support my local teams?
Yeah.
Only while you're basically at the stadium.
And while you're around there or whatever they may.
But I'm a team player, so I got to do it. Sorry.
Entertainment district or other things. If they really want to... I was thinking about this the other day because, all these different, baseball tournaments are going on, soccer tournaments and all these different places and things being built. If they want to help get that revenue and help pay it back in the 30 years that the term is going to be for the star bonds, while you're building everything in an entertainment district around there, then a little more land and build some football fields, some soccer fields, some baseball fields with turf, and you host these big tournaments. And you got families from all different states coming in, staying at the hotel, eating at your restaurants, parents having some drinks after the games are over at night.
Going to that Mattel,
Go into the Mattel.
Park.
Yeah, I mean, you attract them that way.
The interesting part will be where they choose to put this and how they draw the lines around it because, the area of the legends that we think of with the star bonds being very successful, the lines are already drawn around that. Yeah. This is probably somewhere outside of that, but nearby. I don't know how that'll all work. Mm-hmm. There have been some failures in star bonds. There's been some successes in star bonds.
Well, the Speedway is one of the successes.
It's an absolute success. That whole area has been a success because, Nebraska Furniture Mart, go in there sometime and see all the people spending money. Yeah. And all the other shops out there. Then you got Sporting Park, Great Wolf Lodge. All those things are in there. So they did a nice job of paying those things off, but there's no guarantee that would happen anywhere else. That's the scary part about it. Me, as someone who just thinks about taxes and how you go about doing them, like the sales tax that they have generated in the past here to pay for the renovations at Arrowhead and at the Kauffman Stadium that they wanted to extend. Mm-hmm. That is not the kind of tax that I like as much. Because if you just happen to be in Jackson County, Missouri, and you spend $1 at Quick Trip or McDonald's or anything, you're paying part of that thing. You may never go to the stadium. You may never do anything around that. When they built T-Mobile, Sprint Center, that was done on the back's basically of outsiders.
And outsiders. Yeah,
Not every hotel room that gets used
right.
is from someone out of town. You may have a night on the downtown
staycation,
staycation or something like that. But for the most part, there's a convention in town, and you're basically passing that tax off onto some company who's sending their people in. You know what I mean? And the rental car fees and all that stuff. This one I like even better because the taxes actually come from someone who's using it. The same way, listen, if you don't like the Turnpike, drive another way. The Kansas Turnpike is great. It costs money, but you're not crowded on it, and it is not full of potholes. It's well maintained, and it's fantastic.
1%er.
I don't mind spending the money if I'm driving across the state to spend if you get to Topeka, it costs a couple bucks. If you're going all the way down past Wichita, maybe it's like $7 now or something like that. The road's good. Go drive to St. Louis on I-70.
Yeah, no, thank you.
We'd all gladly pay $6 to get across that road.
I would right now.
But
about to take that trip on Saturday, so
it's no fun.
Let me pay $6 right now for an extra lane on each side and a smooth ride.
We'll see how this project out here in Overland Park goes. They're adding these lanes.
Yes, on 69.
On 69, and you'll be able to choose to go into one of the lanes, or you'll be able to not choose to. It's a mess right now. It's a big project, but if you want, they'll pay the road off with the people using the road. A use tax, I think, is great. And listen, a sales tax is a sales tax, whatever. But if I'm not using the place that they're paying for the thing for, and it's a stadium owned by billionaires, blah blah, blah, or not owned, the county owns the stadium, used by billionaires. That's because your sales tax goes to lots of things. Okay, we don't know what it all goes to, but a lot of the things it goes to, you could use or whatever, and your property taxes go to things. But the thing that got people mad on this sales tax in Missouri was they just didn't want to be spending money on an old stadium, one, and the fight downtown, and the fact that these guys are billionaires.
Right.
Giving money to billionaires on the backs of the people. So will this thing pass? I don't know. Will it be cost prohibitive for most people to go to a Chiefs game? Yeah. Because it's going to be expensive. It'll be more expensive at a new stadium, too. And they'll probably cost more money because they'll be charging more because they want to pay the bonds off and all the stuff.
Can an average person buy a star bond, for example, like to invest in it?
That's a government thing.
I didn't know.
It's a sales tax.
There's going to be
something revenue that stands for the sales tax.
But there will be investors, though, that buy the star bonds.
Right.
It's just you're taking the risk on getting your money back and maybe getting more back.
Yeah.
Because,
the venture capitalists want to buy the bonds?
Yeah.
Who knows?
The Chiefs can buy a certain percentage themselves. So, they can buy a certain percentage and then be even more vested in the success of it, because then they can make money.
If they buy a lot, that was my thought, was if the Chiefs buy it, then
they can't buy
little old Sterling might try and get a little investment going.
Yeah,
but get your money.
My
out.
one bond,
and the
bond,
and it's not that the star bonds won't pay for the entire project. It can only pay for 70% of the project. It was 75, but it was negotiated down to 70. So those that were detractors and said that this was too much, they took 5% off of it. So now it's only 70%. So if it's a $2 billion stadium, the Chiefs are going to have to put in $600 million of their own money to be able to do that, which is double what they were going to do for renovations, but this would be for a new stadium, new entertainment district, new everything, buying the land acquisition. Will they get some sort of a, deal on that? And now you've got Jackson County, at least one person, in Manny Abarca with the Jackson County legislature, and he is trying to present, it's a deadline of August 27th to get on the November 5th ballot, a capital improvement sales tax to renovate specifically Arrowhead Stadium. That would be a 3/16 cent sales tax. So the 3/8 cent sales tax would go away. It would be replaced by a 3/16 sales tax. So less, it's cut in half, but it's not, a new stadium, and it's one person presenting that in Jackson County. And who knows what Missouri may put in, or other parts, or what the Chiefs would be willing to put in. This is just one person trying to get this going for a capital improvement sales tax.
Yeah, they're climbing uphill.
They are climbing uphill. They've got a few inherent advantages. The built-in advantage, the location. They don't have to acquire any land. They've got the history and the nostalgia, the familiarity on their side. Kansas has you don't have to vote for it. Your sales tax isn't going up. It's just the money you're spending at
you
that
don't have to
district.
spend all the money on the campaign to go out and do all that.
Yeah, exactly. But you do have to acquire the land. You do have to come up with all of those things. You do have to figure those things out. But you're also getting a new stadium with a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see. I mean, we talked to Mark Donovan and Clark Hunt about it at the ring deal. Neither one of them had much to say. They're like wanted to wait and see what happens with this thing. But they were both very clear. Listen, all options open. You can't. We all kind of feel like they probably didn't do themselves the best. I think they were trying to put their best foot forward for the location they were in, and for the nostalgia and everything. But they should have never shut off Kansas to start with.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
And now here's Clark Hunt on that Thursday.
As I said about a month ago, we're in a period right now where we're willing to talk to anybody. We're just looking for opportunities, and obviously there's a lot going on the Kansas side, and they have a vote coming up next week. So it's probably a little bit premature to talk about that option specifically, but we're open to options anywhere in the metropolitan area.
Are you going to go to that session?
I will not.
How have the meetings been both states, just in general?
We've had conversations on both sides, but I would say at this point they're premature, right? They're very much the beginning stages.
Open to anywhere in the metropolitan area, because at first he said we're open to anywhere, like we're talking with any place, But then he specifically said in the metropolitan area.
I'm not a big fan of, people didn't like the fear mongering that happened late in the previous election. I don't think that's where they started their conversation, but I think they didn't like their polling, so they started it, and that's the last impression a lot of people had. Yeah. And this whole, scoop and score, keep the teams in Kansas City, I don't think there's any real fear right now that they would be leaving Kansas City.
I don't either.
But this is how you try to get action from people. Now, there's more of a chance now than there was 3 months ago when they had a vote. The vote was emphatic. So it becomes a little bit more of a deal. But I don't think John Sherman wants the Royals to be out of Kansas City.
I think he wants them downtown.
And he absolutely wants them downtown. And they're still going to try to find some way to do it. And I absolutely think that Clark Hunt still wants to be inside the kingdom. That's what he wants. And I don't think it's a real factor
in the kingdom at Truman Sports Complex, or in the kingdom in the metropolitan area.
The metropolitan area kingdom,
for sure.
Where you can, the people who go to the games now will be the people going to the games.
Absolutely.
That's what he wants.
I want to hear this before we get to Fact or Fiction, because this came out earlier today. This is from Starcade Media. This is Justin Reed's golf tournament going on today. We've talked about the wide receiver group and players that can or can't make the squad, or, they signed McCole Hardman. We feel pretty positive about Rashee Rice and Xavier and Hollywood and Justin Watson being on the team, those four. And then they've got Kadarius Toney. They've got Sky Moore. They signed McCole Hardman. They've got Justin Ross, Nico Remigio. They've got him, or Remigio, whatever. Remigio. They've got him. He's been talked about. Here's Dave Tobe. This is from Starcade Media. Here's Dave Tobe today at the golf tournament, asked specifically about Nico Remigio and making the squad and the special teams part of it.
He's probably our number one kick returner right now. I'd put him in that category. So he's got a real good shot in my book, to make this team. Now he's doing everything he can as a wide receiver. He has to get in the depth there. He probably has to be a fifth or sixth receiver to be able to be on the 53. He's at least going to be on the practice squad. I guarantee that. And him and McCole are going to be battling out. You're exactly right. They're going to battle it out for that spot. So we'll see. It'll come down to the return game, and we'll see how they do on the offensive side too.
So he has to figure out the go ahead, Todd.
Every time I was at an OTA or a practice this year, he stands out. Remigio absolutely stands out every single time he's making some play. And he was that way up at camp last year too, but then he got hurt. So listen, we had this conversation last year. They had too many wide receivers. And they still have too many wide receivers. They're not all going to be on this team.
Mm-hmm.
But the calculus is different now, because the return thing is a totally different deal.
And if he's the number one kick returner right now, if Dave Tobe says he's our number one kick returner right now, that gives them an inside track as to making the squad because, as you just said, there's going to be more of an emphasis on the kick return game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more important than just, well, he's our sixth receiver and he's also going to return some punts for us. Okay, well, I don't need you to return a punt for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes back there. But you're going to be required to return kicks now. I mean, it's going to be a part of the game. And if he's the number one kick returner, then how much of a difference are you
where
getting?
Does that slide you up the other?
Yeah, how much of a difference are you getting from Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, or Nico Remigio? Like, if you're saying, well, going from Sky Moore to Nico Remigio, is it worth it for him to be the best kick returner? Yeah. Going from Kadarius Toney to him, is it worth it? Yeah. Going from McColl to him, is it worth it? Yeah, because I feel really good about the first four.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was really interesting.
Listen, it's going to be a thing that is different this year. And they're absolutely working really hard on figuring out the best way to go about doing this. And it will change during camp and during when the games start. Because then they'll try to kind of figure out what is the play really going to look like? What's it going to be?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
There'll be so much of that.
Well, he also said
pads.
that he also said that they've implemented a couple of plays with Reese Zamet using his rugby background to where he does do the rugby pass lateral. Yeah. They've got a couple of plays to where he actually does that.
Oh,
and
you can't have Tony back there because he'll drop it.
No, he would not be back there. It'd probably be Nico.
Well, because if you have two, you don't want.
Yeah, you caught Travis's lateral last year. He just was lined up off sides.
Yeah, well, he threw that overhand though. That's this is the rugby
kind of
underhand spin, right?
Toss,
underhand spin in the rugby that Luis Rizamet can do. He's like they got one where he fakes it. They got one where he throws it.
I think the Chiefs will be as interesting as anybody on kick return.
Luis Rizamet back there, knowing that he can accurately spin that ball in a lateral. And it's not the option lateral where it's going, end over end. It's a lateral that you don't have to throw overhand.
A torpedo.
It's a different ball.
You can, but you can be running away and lateral it underhand in the rugby style as opposed to running away and then you got to stop and throw it back the other way. Like, a little bit.
It's a skill set.
We'll see. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and play some Fact or Fiction coming up next. Fact or fiction going?
Fact.
There's video of Nikola Jokic playing 3-on-3 basketball in his hometown, just with some guys, just out there playing 3-on-3 basketball with some buddies. And
is there a horse there?
No, it's just like him and his friends just playing some 3-on-3 basketball, just sitting there and hanging out.
Why not?
Yeah, just
That looks like a fact to me.
Did you show up to a local, basketball court and Jokic is there playing? That's unbelievable.
Well, good thing you wouldn't know if he's an NBA player or not, just based on his size and his skill.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's showing the video. It's not like he stands out. I mean, honestly, like it's not.
Is everyone else there like 6'10" as well?
No, he stands out in height, but like he's not dunking and driving like he's doing what he did on a basketball court. It shows him like dribbling out to the 3-point line. He takes 2 steps in and then he dishes it off to somebody for a layup and he goes back the other. It's just it's Jokic doing the same thing 3-on-3 as he would do in an NBA game.
Did you play D2?
See, so like
you play D2?
He bricks a 3-pointer and misses
Juco?
it.
Looks like a nice court.
Right. All right, fact or fiction. Let's start with Todd today. We didn't have it last week, so let's start with Todd.
Lebo.
Yes.
Todd Lebo.
The Jaguars will rue the contract given to Trevor Lawrence. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Fact, because Sterling is a hater.
I'm a realist.
No, fact.
Yeah, I wanted to start everyone off with a point there.
Fact. Thank you.
Horrible contract. Just brutal. Atrocious.
Cost of doing business.
A disaster. It befuddles me. Somehow I'm irked by it as well.
I don't disagree.
Are you fuddled or befuddled?
Befuddled. I'm not fuddled. I'm befuddled. Dylan.
D.
I had to change this question since we heard that from Nico about Nico Remigio. So okay. Nico Remigio and Louis Rees-Zammit, one and only one, is making the 53-man roster.
It's like the Highlander.
Yeah.
Fact.
Fact.
I think it's a fact. Someone's on the practice squad.
Hard to
probably.
see both
yeah,
of them.
fact.
I think it's really hard for Louis Rees-Zammit to make the active roster out of camp.
Yeah. Yeah, I think only one of those. I think it's between one of those guys. I don't think you keep both those guys. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, the Royals.
I'm leading this one off.
All right, Jason Derulo.
I'll be your Michael Garcia for this question.
The Royals will end the year as the second wild card team in the AL.
Fact.
Fiction.
Oof. Yeah, they're only a half game up on the Twins right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fiction so I can be wrong. You know, what is it? Emotional hedge there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fact.
Right.
I think they end up as the second wild card team in the AL.
I thought they were going to win the division.
No.
Oh, I see what you
You were confident.
Or be the first wild card team.
No, they're not going to win the division.
They're not beating Baltimore. So
yeah, they're a decent ways behind that. But
I think second is, and that's a huge step forward from last year.
They're 3 games up on the wild card now. They have dropped some, but they've also faced an incredibly difficult 19-game stretch. Now, hey, let's see what happens with the A's. Todd's going to lead us off here.
All right, 3 straight facts. Wow.
I lost.
Yeah.
Lebo, chocolate chip cookies. Why are you laughing?
That's an interesting way to start the question. Lebo, chocolate chip cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Just asked a question about
if the moon were
the
made
Royals.
out of cheese, would you eat it? No.
Nico Remigio, chocolate chip cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies are the most overrated cookies. Fact or fiction?
It sounds like a sterling hot take.
Did we do this one?
Fact.
I felt like we've already done this one.
I think we've done this one. Well,
I'll go fact.
I can't remember anything, so it's okay.
We didn't do this one. We did a different one.
We did a different one, but it was something along these lines. I am going to say I think it's fiction, but I think you're going to say fact.
No, it is a fact. Chocolate chip cookies are the most overrated cookies. Snickerdoodles are the greatest cookies of all time. That was the question.
Well, Snickerdoodles was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
You said something about
chocolate chip cookies are
overrated.
the Derek Jeter of cookies.
Yeah.
Okay?
Can't field.
No range.
Nobody catches
no
more
range.
strays on this show than Derek Jeter.
So you're
Love
saying
Derek Jeter. Great player. It's a great player.
Okay, so that's fine.
But it's
so
overrated.
It's a fine cookie. You
so
like
what
the
you're
cookie.
saying,
It's just overrated.
in a pinch, when you need them, chocolate chip cookies come
he'll
through.
absolutely eat one.
Oh, sure. It'll
When
come through. It'll come through at a pinch.
In the clutch,
but it's
chocolate chip
overrated.
cookies.
No range.
No
range.
Fake stats.
Did you guys go fact with that one? You
Yeah.
two?
Yep.
Okay, so we all got a point there.
I'm the only one losing.
No, Dylan's got 3 as well.
4 straight
You both have
facts.
3. I got 4.
Wow, 4.
4 straight facts. You keep saying that.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's just that trend. Don't bet against the trend.
I wonder
How long is it going to
I
go?
think it's going to come up red this time. Dylan leads us off here.
Dylan. Jaylen Brown is the dude I'm most happy for getting that ring.
Fiction. Al Horford is the person you're most happy for.
See, that is a really interesting one. Man.
Remember, Al Horford played for the Sixers.
Oh, I know, but Al Horford sucked for the Sixers.
You're right.
I'm gonna
suck for the Sixers.
I'm gonna say fiction.
Yeah, it's got to be fiction because you've said fact all these times in a row.
This one's fiction.
Oh yes,
Got
It's a total fabrication.
It actually is Al Horford. I'm happy for the guy. Like even though
I thought you'd be happy for
sucked with the Sixers.
Missouri native Jason Tatum.
So is it fiction or fact?
It was fiction. You said fiction. Actually,
I got 2 points because I did the player and.
There was no bonus point on that.
He should have
Settle down,
gone.
Dylan.
You were right
yeah.
that you just got lucky. You actually meant to say fact, I believe, but
Yeah, I did
you-
meant to say.
but
I'm not going
you
to give
said
myself
fiction.
a point because
Oh, it's honorable.
no, I'm not going to give
so
myself a point.
honorable man.
No, because I thought it was anybody but Al Horford.
Yeah,
so,
honestly,
So you guys got points?
Yeah.
All right, 4-4-4.
he sucked with the Sixers. He's the Embiid killer, but I'm still happy for the guy. I mean,
okay.
he's ancient out there.
I thought maybe you would go Phil Pressey.
You're sitting there playing the ball down here. I mean, you're doing good. You're not no foot wedge in here. He's
That's
taking
right. Play it where it
honor.
lies. Play it where it lies. Come on, man.
All right.
Count
What do I
all
look
this,
like Patrick Reed to you?
The ball oscillated. I'd addressed it. I'm taking
Yeah.
the stroke.
I'm not Patrick Reed here.
Jason, for being honorable, you go first.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
At Oakland, at Texas, and home versus Miami are the next 9 games for the Y'alls.
Fact.
They will.
Did I get it right?
Fact, yeah. They will go 6-3.
Fact.
Well, I'm going to say
Well, hold
fiction
on.
because there's
Fiction.
other
Does it have to be
choices.
specifically 6-3?
You gotta be 6-3.
Oh, sorry, fiction. Yeah,
Fiction.
I was thinking 6-3 or better. Yeah,
Fiction too. Same reason.
It's fact. They're going 6-3.
Well, I said fact first.
No, now you can't change. You were being all honorable. Precisely 6-3.
They have to
Yeah.
be 6 and okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
6-3.
Yeah,
They'll,
I was just
they'll-
thinking
they'll go
6 or
they'll
better.
go 2-1 against Miami at home, and they'll go some sort of 4-2 on the road against Oakland and Texas. 'Cause They're both on the road.
They're going to sweep the A's, and then they're going to take.
Well,
One of
1-2
two.
then, yeah.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, or it's 2-1, 2-1, 2-1.
They're going to take
6-3 though.
They're going to lose 2 of 3 to the Rangers. They're going to
How
sweep the
greedy
A's and
have we
take 2 of 3 to
become?
the Marlins.
6-3 is not good enough for my Royals. Like, wow,
Against these
Jason.
dregs.
No, I didn't say that. I think 6-3 is amazing. That'd be awesome.
If they went 6-3
I just didn't
over every
think-
9-game stretch for the end of the year, they'll be fine.
I thought maybe you would go 5-4
They'd be better
or
than the second wildcard spot.
7-2. You know,
That's what I thought.
I'm a realist, Jason.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
a realist.
for sure.
great, absolutely, yes.
My turn.
Todd.
Speaking of being a realist, Sam Long deserves some high leverage situations.
Absolutely. Why not? Sure. Fact.
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 That is a fact. I want to see Sam Long.
That's a fact, Jack. That's a fact, Jack.
Yet to give up an earned run.
Let's
the
go.
underlying numbers of Sam Long.
Is Bab
Good.
It was a
really
great, It was a great
good.
book.
Is fit?
It's the underlying
Whatever.
numbers of Sam Long.
Yeah.
It was a great
Written in the
book.
1700s.
Yeah, it was a really good book.
Western.
And then
Loved it.
Jules Verne brought it back out. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
nice. H.G.
right.
Wells, I thought actually did
That's
something about
right.
it too.
Yep.
Yeah, Sam Long. Sam Long.
Dylan.
I like red wine more than white wine. Hard
There we
to
go.
say. Wow.
Red wine, white Rhine. That's what you were.
Red
that's
rum. Yeah.
What, red rum.
I like, okay, one more time.
What's the
I
more
like red
bougie
wine
answer?
more than white wine. There we go. Nails it.
I guess white wine would be the more bougie answer, so I'll go fiction.
I'm gonna go fact. You are a red wine guy.
Yeah, I think you're a steak and a red wine.
Mm-hmm. In a bourbon. There.
But you look like you'd be a white wine spritzer kind of guy. But I'm going to say it's a fact you like red wine
It's
more.
red wine.
I am what I look like. Red wine, get out of here.
Oh,
Not
he's
for
a
me.
white wine
What?
spritzer.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm a wine guy. I'm a bourbon guy. If I'm drinking something
Dylan
with,
takes
my,
the
with my
lead.
steak, give me a bourbon. Red wine is okay. It's not for me. It stains your teeth. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to stain my teeth.
So
White
you don't drink
wine.
tea or coffee?
I drink a lot of coffee.
Okay,
I don't need
cool.
another staining mechanism
Okay.
on my
So you're a hypocrite. Okay,
Somewhere
that's
there's a picture of me with
So the
red
hypocrites.
wine stained teeth at a Christmas party we had 2003-ish
fine. Nice.
Wow.
at Garozzo's.
Oh, I remember that.
The
That
Merlot
Gross is-
Challenge.
What's the
What's
Merlot
the Merlot
challenge? 'Cause Now I
challenge?
might actually be involved in this.
Yeah, what's the Merlot challenge?
it was Emily Morrison in the sales. We were having a Merlot challenge at the Christmas party. Who could drink more red wine? I think I won, but
Did
I
you
lost.
win?
It was a victory in
There's no actual winner there.
How many bottles were consumed?
All I know is I didn't drive home. My wife drove us home. We had to drive all the way to Independence to get my babies, put the babies in the van, and we almost made it all the way home before I had to do a little pit stop.
Oh, yeah?
On the side of the highway pit stop?
On the side of 3rd Street, within sight of my home in the snow.
Oh, that's too bad.
Wow.
Proud father.
I bet.
You know what? Last red wine challenge I ever did.
Wow.
No more Merlot
shocking.
challenges.
Shocking.
I love how the usually challenges are like specific. You got to drink this.
Yeah,
many.
yeah,
It's
Oh, it
basically
was just like another one.
who could drink more.
We're doing the Merlot challenge.
Awesome.
Bad idea.
Yeah, that sounds
I'm grown up now. I'm grown.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Was that a life lesson with Lebo?
it
Right? That was a
was.
life lesson.
Hey, don't turn the heater on too much in the old Honda Odyssey driving home.
Not worth it.
Christmas party, snow on the side of the ground.
No, thank you.
Someone
my
got
gosh.
woken up early the next morning to clean out the door rail of the car.
Yeah, was your wife
You didn't
thrilled
make it all
by
the
that
way.
one?
You didn't make it with the door
Some
wasn't
of it
fully
got,
open.
some
And you
of it
went out.
got in the little door handle.
Wife's not thrilled, huh?
No, I got woken up.
That's amazing.
You're going to come clean this car out before I drive to work.
And at that time, it's dried on there as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier at that
Unbelievable.
point. Probably it was dry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
frozen.
sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
frozen.
that's right.
Who's up?
I'm up on this one.
Spritzer.
All right, bourbon. Cole Reagans will get more than 210 strikeouts this year. He's currently at 102.
Yeah, I'm going to say fact.
Yeah, I'll fact that.
Fact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fact. I thought you would be a little. 200 was too obvious.
Yeah, 210. You raised it up.
210 I thought was a good number.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
it was good.
Yeah.
He's got more than half the season to go, and he's already halfway there.
All right.
Quick math.
Seth Lugo. Lebo. Seth Lugo will be the first Royals pitcher to 200 innings since Edison Volquez. Fact or fiction?
What's he at right now?
He's at like 97, I think.
Yeah, he does pitch into the 7th inning.
A lot.
I'm gonna look it up for you. I'll tell you what
But
he's
he
at.
hasn't.
He's at 97 and a third.
How many starts?
15.
Fact. I'm not real strong on that.
Yeah, I'll go fiction just because I'm not strong on either.
I'm going to go fiction because it's so many more innings than he's ever thrown in one season that they may start to get him out in the 6th inning, even with some lower pitch counts, just to preserve. So I'm going to go fiction.
I thought that too, and then I thought he's 34.
Yeah.
What are they saving him for? So I'm going fact because I think he's going to go 6-7 innings, and he's not a huge strikeout pitcher. He's a contact guy. He goes deep every single game.
He doesn't ever throw a lot of pitches.
Yeah, I think he's the first Royals pitcher to 200 innings since Edison Volquez, and then also before him, the year before, Jeremy Guthrie.
How bad would the ERAs have been if they allowed some of the pitchers who have pitched the last several years to have 200 innings pitched? It would be so awful.
Depressing.
It would be like your ERA would be 9. We're going to make you throw 200 innings.
No, thank you.
My God.
Well, Jordan Lyles was an innings eater. That's what he was brought in to eat innings.
Daniel Lynch.
Where is he, by the way?
Where would Daniel Lynch be if he threw 200 innings in a season?
Down
Jackson
in the minor
Kowar.
leagues.
Here's 200 innings for you, Jackson.
Yeah, go out there.
Under the knife. Wait, he already is. Drew Waters, by the way, is no longer with the Royals. He got optioned.
He's
in
Drew
replace
Waters did?
Carlos Hernandez.
Hernandez.
Brought
Not
up.
Austin Nola?
Nope. Carlos Hernandez
What?
brought up. Drew Waters sent down.
Wait, Carlos Hernandez?
Mhm.
We have to do this again?
Yeah.
Settle down.
Well,
Let's get through the game.
Nick-
I'm going to yell, fact or fiction, I'm going to be very
fact.
upset by this.
they're trying to continue helping the bullpen.
Tom!
Nick Prado helps the bullpen, and
Yeah, Nick Prado helps it more than Carlos Hernandez.
Dylan leads us off with this one. Dylan leading 8-7 for Todd to 6 for me.
I gotta close my eyes for this one, Dylan.
Close
they
your
can't
eyes.
they can't see it. I have we'll go with
Fact.
greenish gray eyes.
Fact.
Fiction.
Greenish gray?
Yeah.
Why is he closing his eyes?
So you guys can't see.
I know. I'm just saying. He's giving you the answer by telling you what his color of eyes are.
They're not brown.
What?
They're not blue. They're kind of more hazily, but I'll say fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
Jason, you sit across from me every single day.
I can't look at you
How
in
do you
your eyes,
not
though.
get lost in his eyes?
How do you not get lost in there?
I can't look at you in your eyes.
What's it say on your driver's license?
I think they say blue-green.
Let me see.
So you said greenish gray.
Yeah.
Those aren't greenish gray.
Yes, they are.
There's nothing green about that. That's blue gray.
That's great. What do you?
That's
look,
blue gray,
look
Todd,
in my
right?
eyes.
That blue gray?
I got to see what the government says.
No, that's blue gray.
The
That
government just listens to what I say.
yeah, and you're just making stuff up. That's blue gray. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself the point on
You're
that.
wrong. They're green gray.
Mine says. Mine says blue, probably.
Mine are blue.
Mine says blue. Yeah.
Mine says blue. I don't have blue eyes.
My wife has beautiful blue eyes.
Hold on.
And we were out to dinner the other day, and the waitress said, I love your eyes. And I said, thank you. And she didn't get it.
The government says your eyes are blue. I'm looking right at you, and I can see blue-gray.
But
you're going to give them the point for going green?
They're green-gray, yeah.
There'll be a tiebreaker, Jason.
Todd, didn't you say I'm going with whatever the government says?
After I got
government
my fact.
lied. They're liars.
Government
What's the
doesn't
last
lie.
question?
They're liars.
Government won't
All right.
lie.
Jane Daniels will have the best year for a rookie quarterback this year.
That's me. I will say fact.
I like him. Fact.
Fact.
I like him a lot, but he does not have the weapons that Caleb Williams has.
That's how they get Brandon Ayuk.
Oh.
Good, decent point. That's an interesting conversation to have. But we don't have time for that. I do think that's fiction, and Caleb Williams, because of the weapons, well, the better year. I do like Jaden Daniels a lot, though.
9 to 8 to 6. What's the tiebreaker?
Worth a lot of points here. This is the bonus. Rank these meats.
There's a tiebreaker needed in this
for the top
fact or
two.
fiction.
This was only for the top two tiebreakers.
Okay.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I don't have to
sorry.
participate. Cool.
So
I'm just
go.
going to
Rank these meats.
Rank these meats. Pulled pork. Ribs. Turkey. Ham. Sausage, chicken, brisket, burnt ends. Rank them.
Burnt ends is 1.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information, Dylan.
Am I writing these down? I don't have a pencil.
Yeah.
Did I have too many meats? Too much meat for you, Jason?
Burn ends is number 1.
Burnt ends is number 1 for sure.
Just filling up the cuts sheet here.
Burn ends number 1.
Brisket's number 2.
Brisket number 2.
Is Dylan going to play? Or
Dylan,
is
are you playing?
I'm just going to take Todd's list.
Okay.
You guys are correct so far.
Pulled pork.
Hey, that's number 3.
Yeah, I was going to go pulled pork.
Liar.
Sausage.
That's low. Sausage is low.
It's number 4.
Ribs.
Ribs is number 4.
No way, you hate ribs. Come on.
Number 4.
That's why I skipped ribs. You
It's
talk,
messy. I like them, but
you
they're
talk-
messy. I don't
you
get them
talk
very often.
bleep on ribs
No,
all the time.
good ribs are good. Turkey, number 5.
Well, let's give the.
What are
give
the
it
other
to
two choices? Ham and
We have sausage,
Sa-
chicken, ham.
Oh, chicken's last.
Hams.
Sausage,
What
ham,
depends on-
chicken.
Sausage, chicken, ham.
Oh,
you're close.
So close.
Lebo!
Your eyes are blue, dummy.
Oh, wow. I'm just
You
gonna
know his eyes
switch
color.
that.
You know your meat.
You don't even know the color of your eyes. I can't agree with your meat list.
That's how you know fact or
Especially for a
fiction.
guy who just sits there and stares at
Great
himself in
show.
the mirror all day.
That's right.
This
If
guy?
you'd know.
This
With your
guy?
white wine spritzer. You know,
Spend all that time
handful of
looking in
meat.
the mirror and don't even know your eye color.